This is Indiana Hoosiers Live 75, presented by FanDuel. We had a huge day, a huge week in the Indiana Hoosier football universe. And so obviously, naturally, we went and got Hoosier Huddle, IU Reactionaries, Jamie Jordan, got him to join the show. So Jamie, appreciate you for hopping on with us tonight. How you doing?
Great. Super excited to be here. Obviously, a lot of stuff to talk about. Pro Day, basically guys putting up insane numbers. I know they're unofficials, but when we'll talk about them, but just fun day to be an Indiana football fan. Something that I never thought I would ever see. I mean, NFL Network carrying the IU football Pro Day. I mean, come on, insane.
Were they the only
I didn't see anything else like that.
Exclusive coverage by the NFL Network. Honestly, it doesn't even matter. Like, it's sick that Indiana's just in that spot, and they probably will be for the foreseeable future. Just a great kind of thing.
Yep, I mean, you're absolutely right.
Going to be a thing. Like, it's almost like, hey, it's telling the next team, like, hey, you put in the work like these guys did. These group of 23, their preparation, their discipline, and you do that, you'll have 32 teams at your pro day, and it'll be on NFL Network. So that's your reward, at the end of it all for all the hard work. And I think that is, as a college athlete, where it's like you're bringing all these guys that understand that's like just because you're a 4-star doesn't mean you're going to the league. Like, guys understand that, and then that they're going to go in and work hard. And I'm just excited for the group that they're able to see that. A lot of new guys, new faces like a Hoover or a Marsh or a Toby. The Mr. Freeze, Josh Burnham, they can all see that and kind of see that, hey, it all kind of pays off. So just keep at it.
Yeah, I mean, that was literally the first thing I wanted to hit on is that, like, this wasn't just like, oh, here's Indiana's pro day and, like, we're going to go. And it would have been exciting regardless of what the coverage of it looked like. But the fact that it was the biggest deal out of any pro day that happens, like, mostly because of the fact that Fernando Mendoza, the dogs freak out because they know I'm making a good point. Fernando Mendoza, who sits on FanDuel, still is minus 20,000 to be the number 1 overall pick. There was a lot of coverage on him today, but yeah, this was the crown jewel of the pro day season. This is what people were looking forward to. And so to have that be Indiana was unbelievably exciting.
I mean, so you're telling me it's not going to be the other number 1 quarterback? I was told by very smart individuals on ESPN that someone else was going to be the number 1 pick, or was the better quarterback. It's too stupid. I honestly
still love you, Dano. I know you're in the pockets of your agent. It's okay. I would take the bonus too. You got to send the little Timmy to college. I get it. But yeah, it's a spectacle. It was the biggest event. I mean, I got 13 projected draft picks from the squad. Obviously, Daly didn't perform today. He's one of those. But like a lot of guys that I was expecting to kind of rise up showed out with really good numbers. Devon Boykin really stands out. We can dive more into it. Keys to drive the bus.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And that was the other thing is, like, it wasn't just that, like, obviously it was Fernando Mendoza's show. Can you guys hear the dogs, or is that just me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can hear.
Yeah. This is the worst it's ever been.
Okay, so here, I'm going to write off the dome takeaways. Brad, you first. What was your initial takeaway from
initial takeaways, I think, was just seeing the 40 times. I think what's really stuck out was EJ running a 4.4. I think he just earned himself a 90-man invite. Worst case, might even sneak up and get in that top 57, whatever it is. You got Devon Boykin running a sub 4.5. That was huge for him. Oh no, sub 4.4 for Devon Boykin. That was huge. Both running backs running sub 4.5s. You had Pons going sub 4.3. Allegedly, we'll see. Honestly, we'll take 4.31. That looks really good. Just seeing how he moves and how he plays like that. I think that's all they need to see. And then what was Sirot's?
Sorry, I should have been more specific. Off the dome takeaway, one takeaway. Because I'm going to get into specifics.
We produce freaks. Our strength and conditioning staff is legit. The numbers that came out were insane. It was not all X's and O's with this team. Like, they had dudes, and that was something that we were trying to preach at the beginning of the year, and it really showed out today in Pro Day.
Yeah, I mean, I think he hit like almost exactly what I was going to say, in that one of the misconceptions, in my opinion, about IU has always been that it was like scheme. It was all just scheme, and it's like, No.
discipline and
This team has legit athletes. I mean, you have, again, one of my favorite guys that I was so happy when you got him to begin with was EJ Williams. I mean, that's a dude. I mean, if the numbers that his agent was putting out there are real, I mean, he ran a 4.42 unofficial 40. I mean, he's almost 6'4". So,
ridiculous.
That guy didn't even, he was like a rotational player.
He was wide receiver 4 down the stretch.
It's like that. You have that type of athlete, and he's wide receiver 4 on this team. And that was essentially my takeaway, is that it's just like, I cannot believe that a team that I watched put 0 players into the combine over and over and over again is now the premier school that is getting a showcase on the NFL Network. So that's my takeaway.
Yeah, 100%. I think the EJ Williams RAS score, which I think what Jamie was talking about as I ran back to the chair, was exactly like my initial takeaway was like, we were saying obviously all along for pretty much the entire year that this was a team full of dudes and it was schemed up really well. And so the fact that all those guys who weren't able to get combine invites or didn't test at the combine were able to put legitimate numbers out there and look as impressive as they did was unbelievably exciting. Not only like to tout the strength and conditioning staff, but to tout the individual athletes and the players and the development of those guys as well. It was really, really cool to see. But Brad, you tried to get into it before I could even get there, but let's talk about the 40 times, because the 40 times were exactly what we were looking for. We'll start with Pons. Jamie, I want to go with you because Brad, you teased it a little bit, but we saw Pons run. There's been a bunch of different numbers flying around. The quote unquote slowest number, the unofficial number that got tossed out there was 4.31. I've seen ranges from 4.23 to 4.27 to point is he's fast. What was your takeaway when you saw the D'Angelo Pons numbers start flying out?
Yeah, I mean, I never doubt. I thought he should have always been. If you just watch the games, like obviously we watch all of the games, but if you just watch the games and then rewatch the games as much as we do, like there was no doubt the stuff that he was doing to elite wide receivers. He's even without the 40 time, he is a top. He's a top 3 round pick, and I think today he solidified himself as a 2nd round pick. And like, if my Patriots had a chance to get him late in the draft, late in the 1st round, like, I mean, not that they need another slot corner or whatever because they have Gonzalez and Davis, but like the point is like that guy, he's an absolute athlete. He showed the explosion with the vertical at the combine. And I just think that this is just like one more notch in his belt to be like, he is short, but he's an elite athlete, and he's a really, really good cover corner, and he plays angles really well. And like, that's kind of what, yes, all corners get beat sometimes, but like, this is a guy that is one of those, is a guy that, should be looked at as one of the top, if not the top corner in the draft, regardless of the fact that he's 5'9". And I'm just very proud that he, was able to run that, whatever the actual number is. He's essentially like one of the top guys. If he ran at the combine, would have been one of the top guys. So, excited to see where he goes in the draft, which is coming up. What is it? It's in 3 weeks or something like that. I think
23rd starts the same day. It's the same day as the spring game.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, perfect. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I just very excited for him, and I think he solidified himself, if not top 3 rounds, like hopefully in the 2nd, and if not the 1st. So,
yeah, I have a 1st round grade on Pons, mostly due to the fact that he's the best player that I use pumping out right now. Like, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. You watch like Jamie said, you watch the games. Yeah, he's short. But like, so are a lot of successful corners in the league right now. Height is kind of an overrated. Like, I've even had to kind of adjust my own thinking of that. Like, if I was a coach, like, I would love 6'2" corners and just like be long and be able to compete. But like, you get a special type of athlete like Pons, who just has the instincts, the twitch, the anticipation, which is such an underrated trait in sports. He is going to be an absolute. I knew he was going to be going into this, a longtime NFL player. I think he's an absolute star. And I don't know how he doesn't go consensus first round. Like at this point, like it's I feel like they'd be whoever gets them. If someone gets them past pick 25, they're getting an absolute steal. Period. Like that is someone that I think teams are going to regret passing on once his career kind of develops. Like he's just an absolute special talent. And like it's not just
and Brad, I got to cut you off because like I think one of the things is like that you're talking about, and I agree, is that what we've seen is in the NFL specifically is like you don't need to be Megatron anymore. Like that's not the guy that everyone's looking for anymore. Like you're looking for the twitchy guy that gets a little bit of separation at 6'1" or 6 foot or even smaller than that. So you don't need a 6'1" corner. Like it's not totally necessary to have that size anymore that it used to be. Because then, back in the day, I mean, you were throwing a Megatron, he was unguardable unless you had a 6'2" corner. So I totally agree with that. And I think that size, again, is overrated, at least height, in terms of corners, especially when you can jump 42 inches in the air, kind of 4 foot.
That's the thing is his athletic ability, his jump ability, his like technique and his football IQ and all of that allow him to play a lot bigger. And then you look at his speed and he's just able to react a lot faster than people want to give him credit for. And yeah, I'm with Brad. I think it would be absolutely insane if he fell out of the back end of the first round, because if your biggest concern about D'Angelo Pons was his size being borderline 5'9", well, he weighed in at 180 pounds. So the weight's not an issue. He jumped out of the gym and he's faster than the guy he's covering. So it's like, he's going to be able to jump higher than the guy he's covering, and he runs faster than the guy he's covering, and he's going to be twitchy. You know what I mean? It's like what are you looking for? Are you looking to win the off the bus game, or are you looking to win football games? And if you're looking to win football games, like you're going to want to invest in D'Angelo Pons. And this was like to have any of the unofficial times be hand timed in the 4.2s is utterly insane. Utterly insane. Whether you want to say like that's taking liberties or not, like the slowest time we saw come out was 4.31, which is unbelievably.
Jamie got my gears turning big time with one of his comments. Like the game has shifted, especially at the NFL level and even the college level. Like the game on the outside is completely different from what it was. Like back in the day, had your Megatrons, your 6'5" guys, where you just be able to throw back shoulders and jump balls to these guys, and they'd be able to dominate. And that's kind of how you move the chains. Now it's all about, do you have receivers that can run the full route tree? Can they run? Like you think Puka, you think JSN, like these guys, I'm not saying Puka's like an absolute burner. I think he ran like a 4.45, but like he runs the full route tree. Yeah, he's big, strong, and fast, but it's like he's not Megatron, like AJ Brown's probably the closest thing you got in the league right now to some like old school, just like Terrell Owens, like just I'm just a better athlete than you. And yeah, and there's DK too. But those, the reason why they're good is that they also run the full route tree. Like they can do it all. They can, and it's all that, with all these LaFleurs and Ben Johnsons and McVays, like that's kind of how the game has really shifted to where you need your
T. Higgins
to be able to do everything. So now you need a corner that can also do everything, cover you inside, cover you outside. That's what Pons brings to the game. And that's why it'd be foolish if he fell out of the first round.
Yeah, he's a do-it-all guy, and he can play inside, he can play outside, and
I think that's actually like a huge, like to me that's a selling point, is that like he's not just an inside, he's not just a slot guy, like he's not just a slot corner, like he can play both, and he showed that he can do both, and he can go, it doesn't matter which side of the field he's on or where, if he's in the slot or on the outside, he can still, he can go either way from any spot on the field. So I mean, if I'm a GM, and I know there's a homer take, and we've talked about this, but I mean, I don't know what else you need to see. The only thing that is against him, again, you said 180, but the only thing that's against him is that he's 5'8". That's literally it. Everything else is first round grade. So
double check marks everywhere else.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Production, everything, every single thing that you wanted to see on film. But the production was there in big games, huge plays, doing the Signetti pose after the interception. Yeah. And then, I mean, he's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Maybe we'll do a little bit of reminiscing after this. I keep forgetting we haven't spoke to Jamie like on the show and a couple like that, because we talked to Jamie a little bit, but that's funny. But yeah, no. So, but obviously Pons wasn't the only person to run, and so we got 40 times from a bunch of different guys. And the one that jumped out to me that I sent you guys the big list of, Colin McMahon had his unofficial 40 times, and That's take these with a grain of salt. They're probably within a couple tenths of a second. Brad alluded to the fact that your stopwatches and your different scouts and who you talk to can have different times, but Elijah Surratt running 4.45 or even 4.5.
Huge. As long as you run sub 4.6, that's all we needed from him. All we needed was sub 4.6. That's all we needed.
What is that in your mind, Brad, as the receivers guy? What does that do to, or how does that, like, I guess, quell some doubts about Elijah Surratt? Because
putting not Jake Bobo's speed. By the way, a guy that just got paid by the Jaguars after running a 4.9 in the combine at his pro day. The fact that he's 0.3 of a second faster than that guy who, and he has way more production in college. Like, it just bodes really well for Surratt considering what he has on tape and the production that he's been able to provide, being like a career 3,500 receiving yard guy with 40 tuds. Like, that's a guy you just can't, like, miss on. Like, yeah, he maybe not as good. Like, once the pads are on, Surratt is a top 50 player in this draft. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, that is for 2 years in Indiana where they went 27-2. Third down, it's third and Elijah every time. Like, that's who we're looking at. Yeah, Becker got in the mix there a little bit for sure, but like Elijah Surratt was our bread and butter, and really honestly, bailed out the offense when they were in a pinch, right? And that is so valuable to a team. And like, you have a guy like that in college, he's going to be able to find a job and keep a job in the NFL.
Well, I would say a couple things just about Surratt is that, like, again, like Brad mentioned, like when you needed him most, who scored the only TD for IU in the Big Ten championship game? It was Surratt on the fade, and then he had that massive touchdown after Mendoza threw the pick six in the Oregon game. Like, they went right down the field, and he makes the third down back shoulder in the end zone. I don't remember which corner it was for Oregon, but both those guys are going to probably play in the NFL. And the other thing is that the production, he did it at 3 different levels. He did it at St. Francis, he did it at James Madison, he did it for the national champions. And then, if you watch any of the running that IU does outside of the tackles, Elijah Surratt is he's just moving people out of the way. Any corner, because of his size and athleticism, he's just got that innate ability. There's just some guys that, like, it's just one of those things that you have or you don't. It's not even a motor thing. He feels where the play is coming and what he needs to do, and he's always in perfect position to get his hands inside. And he just he blocks his rear off, and it's like, again, the quick twitch. He's not that guy, but he's got everything else. And today, like, with what did he run? He ran like a 4. Well, almost like a 4.5, I think it was. What it was unofficially. That just shows 4.45 is at least what Colin McMahon is reporting here. But yeah, essentially, like, if he really has that type of straight line speed, and maybe he cut a little bit of weight, if he can just continue to do what he did with the blocking and the back shoulder stuff, but then just, again, like you were saying before, the whole route tree, like, these guys just come out so polished. It's just, how could you not take him? I mean, I think we've had this debate before, at least in DMs or whatever. Like, I think you kind of shit on me, but I feel like he's like,
you as in me.
I was Brad. I think it was Brad. I was comparing him to Nick Westbrook-Akine. In so far as that they're that type of, like, bigger wide receiver that excel at blocking, and can make plays. I just think Surratt's better. And, I mean, Nick Westbrook-Akine didn't even get drafted, and he's been on an NFL roster for like 7 years now. I mean, right. I mean, so if you told me that there's a better player than that, like, how is that guy not a top 3 or 4 round pick? I don't see how he couldn't be. So, he's another one, again, just a really good athlete that people slept on, and, he showed today that he's got the speed. And I was really impressed with how he acquitted himself today in front of everybody. And I think that's going to show, I think he made money today. He made a lot of money today, like a lot of these kids did.
100%. Well, it's funny because
great for Elijah, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, like, people look at Carnell Tate as like the end all be all, big receiver, like runs the route tree, athletic jump ball guy. Surratt's a better jump ball catcher. He's like he's got
He's
better
definitely a better route
production.
runner.
He's a better route runner. He's ran just as fast, if not faster, in the 40. Like he's the prospect people think Carnell Tate is, and the production scores back that up. So it's like I don't know. I'm obviously I feel like I have a lot of bias when it comes to Elijah Surratt, and it was me in the chat, Jamie, trying to tell you, like, if this kid runs even 4.6, that he could push into like the mid to high second round, and even in the back end of the first potentially. Which, like, I'm not sure about that, but it's not hard to talk yourself into that guy, especially if you believe that 4.45 number. Holy shit! Like, that guy's a first round receiver. Like,
no, I agree.
Production plus the athlete, plus his ability to make contested catches and his reliability, and he's going to show up for work every day. Yeah, like, that dude is as surefire as it gets. If you don't want to spend the first round pick on him, maybe because of the age, I get it. But if he falls out of the second round, like, oh my goodness, that'd be insane.
Yeah, he also has this confidence and this leadership to him that I don't think he gets enough credit for. Like, he always walks around with a swagger, always talks with this sense of self and confidence, despite being a 2-star recruit. Like, he just knows that he's going to outwork you, type of kind of motion. Like, yeah, he is. I mean, there's a reason why he was a team captain on the national championship team. And I'm trying not to like beat a dead horse, but like, the best players play on the best teams. We can talk X's and O's all you want. Yes, definitely a differentiator. Like, the best players were in the CFP this past year. They're on some of these 12 teams that made it. If you want to just draft blindly, like, I would just take guys that were in the playoff. Like honestly,
well, I mean, you're
guys that ended the season in the top 20. You're probably going to do all right. Like,
well, I think as a Patriots fan, I mean, Bill Belichick literally, he would draft, like, half the team was drafted from Alabama. I mean, he just knew that these guys were coached correctly, that they were athletic, obviously, that they were on the best team. Those are the guys you go get. And like, I mean, again, we're going to go over this and continue to go over it, but like, every single team being there shows you that even the guys that are like, you know, Kalon Black or any of these guys, he didn't even get an invite to the combine. Like, those guys are, you know, these teams want to see these guys because it's not just like, you know, they're just whatever players. They were on the best team. They got the best coaching, and, you know, they're athletes as well. So that, I mean, it's just, the smart thing to do is to get winning football players. And it's a cliche, and I hate football cliches because there's so many of them, but it's just like, yeah, that's what you do. If you know, what are the best blueprints? Recently, Bill Belichick's like the best one in the last like 20 years. So like, that's what did he do? He went for the guys that were on those teams that won football games. And that's, you know, those are the guys you get, and those are the guys you win with.
Cole Strange is how you knew it was going downhill.
Yeah, I know. Jesus. Yeah, don't even.
There's a couple more 40 times I want to get to it, because I feel like this explains so much of like what we were trying to preach for all these guys. But like you mentioned, Kalon Black running 4.41, I thought was unbelievably important for him because we watched the way that dude burst through the line of scrimmage. And if you want to speak down on the type of athlete that Indiana had on their football team, you could be like, well, it just looks like that because we're not blah, 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 blah. Can't dispute 4.41. That's fast. Like,
yeah, he also did 27 reps, which would have been 27. Number one.
Yeah, exactly. He looked phenomenal. Like, another guy who made a ton of money today. Brad, did you have any takeaways for Kalon or from Kalon? Sorry.
Yeah, I love that they posted. They're hyping him up. 4 measurables that would have ranked top 5 in all these running backs. I think that's what you just said. I already have him at a 7th round grade. Like, that's a guy I might have to move up, to be honest. Like, the production, one of 2,000-yard rushers on the team. On a team that heavily relies on the run game, a great leader. The guy that's been with Cignetti for 6 years. Yeah, he's a little old, but like, that's a guy that's going to make a 53 man. Like, no doubt. Like, you use a 6th, 7th, 5th, 4th. Like, you don't want to miss on those picks. Like, you use those 4 through 7 rounds to fill out the rest of your roster. And if you're going to take you're going to take a chance on the Chattanooga kid, or are you going to go with the national champion running back? Like, I'd go with the national champion running back. So I know he's going to beat someone out and take someone's job.
I mean, Hemby as well. Hemby was what was it, 4.48. At his size, his ability to explode through the line, his ability to catch the football out of the backfield, both their abilities to pick up the blitz, both those guys being under 4.5, I thought was pretty important for them.
Yeah, I mean, Roman, another one of my favorite Hoosiers. I obviously like all the guys on the team, but like, you just listen to Hemby talk. I think one of the things that's going to be a knock on Hemby is he's got the production that sometimes can be like a little bit of a negative, that you got a ton of miles on your legs. The other thing with him is I think he's got a smaller lower half. He's taller, like he's, almost 6 feet tall. It's just, unless you're like built like that, he's the bigger upper body guy rather than the bigger lower body and bigger upper body guy. But I mean, the guy ran a 4.45 and was I think Kalon came on down the stretch of the season, but I mean, the tough yardage, especially early and in the middle of the year Roman Hemby put the team on his back as far as the running game for a lot of the early season. I felt like, again, he got a little bit overshadowed by Kalon, especially in the playoff, but that kid he showed stuff at IU that he didn't show at Maryland. And what he showed at Maryland was that he could catch the ball out of the backfield. He was awesome. And that's one of the things that I thought was going to actually kind of be in the offense last year, was catching the ball out of the backfield. And they didn't really do that stuff.
Didn't need it
at IU. What's that?
Didn't need it. Route was open.
No, yeah, there you go. And you can just hand it off
down
and get
there. What do you mean?
Kubin's
decided to become a weapon. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's another guy. I mean, that's another guy that like came out of nowhere. And it's like, they just have that blueprint of what they're looking for exactly at their position. And like, all the running backs are the same size. All the tight ends they have like the H-back type tight end, which they had with Horton the year before, with Nowakowski. Then they have the blocker. They had Bamba. They have, Stays. I mean, Stays was like a top 100 recruit, and he was a Notre Dame and Tennessee kid. He was behind NFL guys. They had behind Evans, behind some of these other Kitzelman, I believe is what his name was at Tennessee. Like, that's a guy that if he was on any other team, that's a starter. And it's just
luck of the draw, really.
Yeah, you just kind of. I mean, he came into IU to be a starter. Let's be honest. And he got beat out by a guy that's now going to be an NFL tight end or H-back or whatever you want to say, because Nowakowski is almost untackleable. If you watch some of those games back, I was watching the one where he almost gets his head ripped off, and he just like runs through the head being ripped off against Illinois and goes in for the touchdown. It's like, that is just insane. So, but yeah, just couldn't be prouder of the running backs with Black and with Hemby, and again, acquitted themselves well today, and they both made some money today. And I, like you said, 13. Brad, you think 13 draft picks?
13. I have Black and Hemby included in both of that. I think they both.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Black made himself like a 4th to 5th round type back. I think maybe even earlier than that. And I think Hemby's probably a little bit later round pick, but like, I agree with both. I think both of them will be drafted.
I'm like the opposite almost.
Really?
I think both of these guys they're going to make rosters. They're not going to be your RB1s. So they're not going to go top 100. So they're going to fall into the day 3. Hemby brings the kick return element which I think is now being valued in the NFL with the new kickoff rule and everything. I think Hemby brings a lot more upside to that role, to where he can be a kick returner for you. A lot of teams like using running backs, their ability to make guys miss, shed tackles, yada, yada. So Hemby brings that element to where I give him a 4th round grade. And I have Black at a 7th round grade going into this. I'm probably going to give him a 6th round grade at this point, because you put up those measurables, one of those 32 teams is like, yeah, we're taking that guy with our 222 pick or something like that. Like that's a guy that's going to make our team. Super proud of both of them. They're awesome. But yeah, not going to be like feature guys, but can't tell me they can't mix it in a little bit and get involved in the offense, especially with their ability to pass block, like 3rd down back rolls. Like they both fit it to a T. Their ability to catch out of the backfield, the ability to block in long down situations, and also obviously take handoffs because they both rush for 1,000 yards. So absolute studs.
Aiden Fisher ran 4.68, which obviously isn't a huge, like, you're not like, holy shit, I can't believe he ran 4.68, but you're also not like, oh my God, 4.68, like that's a huge problem. I only bring it up to say that Devin Lloyd, who just got a huge extension, I don't know, was he resign with Jacksonville or did he go to somewhere? I can't remember.
I think he's still out there.
No, he signed a big deal, but he ran 4.46, or sorry, 4.66. Sorry, so 4.68 for Fisher. Guy's just a really good football player, and so it's like he's fast enough to play. And
well, but he's one of those guys that, like, I think that people knew that was kind of like the thing with him is like, you know, he's like that. He's like the football player, quote unquote, type guy. And for me with him is like, you know, he knew the offense or the defense inside and out. He knew what the offense was going to try to do in order to exploit what they were doing on defense. And he got his guys in the right position. And, you know, I know Micah McFadden had better, he was shorter, I think, but like, you know, the measurables thing for Fisher is more between the ears. Like he just knows where to be. He knows where to put other guys. He understands what he's looking at when, you know, he's standing out there. I mean, how many times this year did you see him? I mean, I know he's the green dot, so he's got someone in his ear, but he's yelling at people the whole right up until the play. And one of the things that always frustrated me about Tom Allen's defense was that I felt like they even Kane Womack, because I think he's a really good defensive coordinator, but like it took them time to process themselves to get it to play in. I know it was different because it wasn't with the headset, but you could tell, like, as soon as the thing came in, as soon as the signal came in from the sidelines with Fisher, he immediately knew what to do and what they were going to see and how they were going to try to attack him and to get his guys in the correct spots. And like, that's something that's another innate thing that you almost, I mean, it's smarts, but it's almost something you can't teach. It's like, just, again, the cliche of like the football guy, like, it's just like, that's the kind of guy that he is. And, you know, that's the type of guy that he might, I can't, because, you know, he didn't really help himself with that 40 time, but I do think that that's the type of guy that you want at least on the roster, practice squad type guy, because he's a guy that
I don't think he hurt himself with that 40 time. He's
I'm just saying, like, I just think that he's a type of guy that didn't like blow anyone away with the stuff.
He didn't help himself. We'll say that.
Correct. I just think he continued to be where he was, if that makes sense. Like, I just think he was fine. It was fine. Yeah. It was a fine day. I don't think it's the worst thing. Mm-hmm. It just, you know, he was never that type of guy. He's never the super athlete that some of these other guys.
He's not Fred Warner.
He's not Fred. Yeah, exactly.
He's not
Fred Warner wasn't that much faster.
Okay.
Fred Warner was maybe 0.4 of a second faster, which is, I mean, you have the Notre Dame fans trying to claim that that's actually faster than, like, if you're actually 0.5 slower, that's actually faster. If you're,
I mean, let's go. That's fan bases.
They're starving for a championship. We gotta leave those guys be. All right. But anyway, with Fish, like, I have him at the third round grade.
Really?
The fact that he's just
okay.
He's been a football player than everyone. Like, and I hope that translates out the field. And I hope scouts are a little smarter in the sense it's like Mike McFadden definitely, like, I think he nailed it on the head, like, much more violent, explosive athlete than Fisher was. Correct. Fisher probably had better instincts and was able to play faster. You know, pick six against UCLA, getting all the tackles, being basically where you need him to be. I think Micah McFadden had a lot of those elements while also being a very violent and explosive athlete, where Fisher may lack. But I think seeing that 4.68 makes me believe that he is an NFL level athlete. He can hang around and he's able to play faster because he's a high school quarterback. You know, that between the years, like you were saying, Jamie, like, he's able to just play faster, and that almost takes off 0.2 off your 40 for me, to be honest. Like, his ability to just be able to process things faster than everyone else because he knows what's going on. Hopefully he's able to continue that and process that, be in a good situation to where he can continue that in the NFL. Is something I hope for. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be I gave him third round grade because I see him as a starter in the NFL. Do I see him going to multiple Pro Bowls? Not necessarily, but like, that's a guy that can hold it down as your Mike, and really surround him with a bunch of Fred Warner types, and like, you'll be just fine. Like, you will be just fine if that guy's the guy calling the shots and kind of running the show schematically, making sure everyone's doing what they need to be doing, and then obviously he'll be able to hold his own physically, do his job.
I love this.
Maybe a bias grade. I love Fish. That's our team captain for 2 years. You know.
Well, no, I just watched Schlesinger. Schlesinger just went in the top of the second round and won Rookie of the Year in the NFL.
Yeah.
I can't
Schlesinger
remember.
was a walk-on, but also a freak. That dude.
Yeah, he's also a big ass dude.
Yeah, he's like 6'5",
isn't he like 6'4"?
240,
Yeah,
like
6'4",
absolute freakazoid.
But I do think so. One of the reasons that I was like so skeptical, not so skeptical, but skeptical of your third round grade is like I agree with the between the ear stuff. I know that McFadden kind of got dinged because he was in a Tom Allen defense. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like that's one of the reasons he played at IU is that he kind of got dinged a round or two.
Yeah.
But I also think that like I agree that he's not as smart, but I do think that he's more physical and more of an athlete, like you said, than Fisher. So we'll see. I'll be interested to see that because that's one. I don't know. Now that you mentioned that.
Actually, I saw Micah when I was in Atlanta for the Peach Bowl, and he's like, not that he's not a big guy, but he's not exactly like this monstrous, like rocked up like he looks like a dude who like works out and is in the gym and like probably does something professionally in sports, but like him and Aiden Fisher are not that different in size.
Well, I think that's one of the. What I think it is interesting because when I was younger, I played basketball in Chicago here, all like multiple leagues all the time, and played with some people, some guys that just clowning around that were professional athletes. One was a defensive end, a white defensive end dude. So 6'5", 250-pound guy. And you look, and again, he was going to grad school, so it wasn't like he was already done with football. Older guy, and I saw him and I was like, oh, that like 6'5", like legit looking athlete. And then we're just in warm-ups, we're warming up, and I was like subbing in on this team, and this kid's catching alley-oops. That's like, okay, well, who is this guy? Like, how this is a random white dude.
He was all ACC,
like tomahawk alley-oops. So, and it's like, oh no, he played for the Texans for 9 years. That's why. So it's like, oh, okay, I see. But that's the kind of guys that like McFadden to me, like, and even Fisher, like Fisher's got a huge football neck, but I do think that there's some of those guys that don't actually look like they're as physical as they actually are. And then you see them actually do things, and it's like, whoa, like that is, anyway, that's how I feel like McFadden was. And hopefully he gets a random tangent, but hopefully he gets another shot. He was injured all last year.
He signed with the Giants.
Yeah, no, I know, but I do think he's like a starter. I think he is. He was
balling.
I know, he was playing so well. I mean, he basically took that. He was a 5th round pick and took the starting job basically
they drafted him and then they traded Blake Martinez like within weeks.
That's the other comp. That's the other comp for Fish, by the way, is Blake Martinez. Very, very similar athletic profile. I don't know what the size difference is between the two of them, but at least like speed wise.
I mean, I think that I think he's going to be on a team because he's got the it, especially with the between the ears stuff.
All right, I'm gonna throw a couple 40 times at you guys because we could spend the rest of the episode talking about 40 times, but I do want to move past it a little bit. EJ ran 4.42, Lou Moore ran 4.46, Khalil Benson ran 4.93, Coogan ran 5.18. And then Boykin was 4.38 and Brady was 4.39.
Brady, hello.
Yeah, I think EJ has a chance to get drafted now. I mean, if that time is actually official and he's, again, like I said, off the top, like that's wide receiver 4 at the national championship team. But like that kid was, that was impressive. He also had a drop I saw in some of the team stuff with Mendoza. But Boykin 4.38. I mean, that guy, I feel like is the unsung hero of the entire defense. Like people you barely talk about him. And then he made plays all year. He was IU's PFF had him he was above D'Angelo Pons in terms of defensive grade. And I know that they kind of hit him a little bit. Like he didn't play all the time depending on like the scheme and whatnot. But man, he's a good player. So he definitely made himself some money. And I do think that the Coogan, that kind of stinks. The Benson one, really, really good run blocker. He's not quick. He's an inside guy. He's not a tackle.
It's hard to find big guys who move like that. And he's a big guy who moves like that. So that bodes well.
Yeah. With Brady, I think he has some return potential. So I don't know if he's going to get drafted, but could follow kind of a Keyshawn Williams. We pumped out 2 returners from the 2024 team. He could follow the Williams Price route, which is kind of crazy. Gives you some perspective on just how good this receiver.
Did he have 2 touchdowns? Did he have 2? How many return? Did he have 1?
He had some big time returns, but I think he only had the Old Dominion one, which really just got
because that was a huge return. If you recall, that game was like, I'm not saying the game was like, it was like
people were calling the team. People were saying 6-6.
Yeah, I know. There were people going wild. Like,
and then Brady just runs around the whole.
I know.
It's like, wait, no, we actually just have people faster than them.
Mendoza's not it. Mendoza's not it. Like just like.
Oh my god. Yeah, Coogan didn't do himself any favors. I actually had to knock him back a little bit.
What do you think about Kamara? Lastly, Kamara ran 4.71 reportedly. I thought Lou Moore, I thought because he's shorter, so I thought that was a really good time for him.
That was awesome.
But Kamara at 4.71, what did you think about that, Brad? Because
that was a great time.
Yeah, I thought so too.
He needed that considering he's only 6'1". But there's I look at him, I think Elvis Doomerville.
I know.
Absolutely.
Well, that's another position.
He's got all these moves. He's led the Big Ten in not just the past 2 seasons, back-to-back Big Ten seasons led the Big Ten in pressures.
Yeah.
Now, Brad, I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. Since 2023, no one has more pressures.
Yeah. I mean, he's the guy, but I think that's what Brad was getting at is that, and this is another position where I think that if you recall, like back in the day, they were always looking for the Jadeveon Clowney 6'6", like long athlete.
I love a 6'6", 270 guy.
Or Chase Young, like those type of guys.
Yeah.
I just feel like you need the quick twitch type stuff. It's the smaller athletic guys now that win against, and you're seeing it. I feel like even with as the offenses adjust in the NFL to those smaller guys, you're not seeing. I mean, Jordan Mailata is one that's like, that's just he's on a different level. But like a lot of the other tackles, like you're not seeing that many 6'7" plus guys that are actually being starting left tackles anymore. Most of the guys are 6'5", 6'6" at the most because they have to get low to go, to get down and to stay with these athletes on the outside. So I think that he has a chance. I mean, where do you see him going, Brad? Because I
gave him a 4th round grade just because he has the shoulder thing. He has the resume. Like we're talking about an All-American 2-time Big Ten player.
I know.
And got him 4th round, trying to not be biased and throw him in the 3rd. I do know he has the shoulder issues that popped out in the UCLA game. Sure, NFL scouts know that. But the production just speaks for itself. Like that's you get that guy day 3. You did okay. Right? You did okay to fill some, like that guy. He's going to be a depth piece for D lineman, and he's going to play right away. Like I feel that strongly about a lot of these guys. Like I wish Daly was out there so he could have blazed a 4.6 and really shot himself up some boards. I still have Daly as a 3rd round grade. I think that might be just a little ambitious considering the injury, but I mean, Mikael Kamara really did himself some favors in terms of just making sure he doesn't fall all the way down to 6 or 7 to where he's going to be a more established, like this guy's probably going to make our team in the 4th or 5th round. It's going to be tough for him to crack that top 100 though. It's going to be tough. He's fringe though, for sure.
I love it.
I just think that some of those old football guys are going to be like, he had 2 sacks or whatever he had, or what's some of the nonsense. It's like, did you watch the games? Because the dude was literally collapsing the pocket on like every other play. He's like in the backfield somehow getting held and not having it called. So
how are 2 of those guys not getting drafted? Like Daly, it's ridiculous. Wyatt should get drafted. He probably won't because of the injury.
Yeah,
and it's just so brutal, and he doesn't have enough on tape either in the IU system. So it's going to be like someone's going to invite him to the 90-man. It's going to be great.
That Oregon game might just be good enough, though.
Yeah, he's so good. He's such a beat. Illinois game, he's balling too.
Yeah,
he's going crazy.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like, because Daly ended up leading the Big Ten in tackles for loss, and he basically was the backup for the first like 6 weeks of the season because Wyatt was like, I mean, and I understand it because Wyatt is like, he can go out and kind of.
He's a 3-4 linebacker.
Right. Yeah. And
he was the true cover guy in the system that Haynes wanted to play.
And that's why he won the job.
it was like the Pittsburgh old Steelers where it's like, here's 5 guys on the line of scrimmage at all times, and 3 of them are probably going to drop off, and it's your job to figure out which one. And oh, by the way, a linebacker is probably looping around, and there's violence everywhere. But yeah, Wyatt was like if you're just going to like try and have the most pieces that look similar that can do the same things, yeah, he made the most sense. I agree with that.
I agree.
In terms of but yeah, we kind of baked winners and projected rounds into the 40 times. So I kind of want to talk about. I won't spend a ton of time talking about it because, like, Fernando was, like we said, minus 20,000 to go number 1 overall at this point. He's meeting with the Raiders. I think he's having dinner with them right now. There's reports that he's already been in the playbook working with Brian Greasy and like learning the Kubiak system. But I did think it was really interesting that there were 9 pass catchers, no red zone stuff, and there was no Zach Wilson type like strictly pro day stuff. So Jamie, you first. What was your biggest takeaway from the Mendoza throwing session? Because like the only complaint that I saw from people about the NFL Network coverage of it was that there wasn't enough about people that weren't Fernando Mendoza. And I thought Indiana's student media did a great job of covering everybody. But it was a very Mendoza heavy event. So what was your takeaway from Mendoza's performance? We'll say.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly like he's the next thing that they're going to try to make. And he deserves it. So I'm not trying to like make it sound like he doesn't deserve it, but like he's the guy that they want to be the next franchise quarterback. So I get it. I also thought that like it was interesting because I saw Louis Riddick, a tweet with Louis Riddick talking about how normally at a pro day, a coach is like making all the calls. Whereas in this one, Mendoza's like calling the receiver out and then telling the receiver what route to run, and then they're running it. And he was just like, he took control completely. And it just one of the things that Riddick says and that I agreed with was like, when you have to be there in person to see the guy like command the way he preps, the way he gets ready, the way he talks to his teammates, the way he interacts with the coaching staff, the way he interacts with VIPs around the program. It's just something that Mendoza, again, it's like innate in him to just, it's because he's like a dork. He loves this stuff. He loves to talk to people. He loves to like get their perspective. He's super genuine, even though it comes off as corny. He's not corny. It's just that's who he is. And I think that one of the things that Riddick talked about was it's like his command of like, what he wanted to show and what he wanted to do. And maybe, it was very Fernando centric, but like, let's be honest, he was the star that was there, but he also, I think he was like 63 of 66 throwing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watched him, he had the lather he had going. I mean, he was cooking, man. He looked a little
tired. Like, I thought he might've been like a little sick or maybe dealing with a cold or something, because like, not that he looked like out of breath or out of shape or anything, but it did look like he was working pretty hard.
Yeah. I mean, did they say I didn't watch the whole thing. But I thought that they talked about him. Was he 10 pounds heavier? Was he like 235 or two? Like, I think they talked about how he was like, he was 10 pounds heavier than his actual playing weight.
11.
This year. Was it, did they say that, or am I making that up?
No, you're not making that up. They said that.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, but you're right.
Combine at 236.
That's what it was. Okay, so maybe, but I think he just played at like 225 or something like that. But anyway,
he had the weight for.
Right, but he's in full command. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew where he was going with. I mean, he's just getting up there. He's doing he's getting under center. That's one of the things that I think that they wanted to see is like get him under center, and see what he can actually do, because I mean, he was barely under center. So they wanted to see what the footwork looked like. And by all accounts, from what I was reading, the footwork looked good. And he's definitely going number 1. So he's already got his destination. I'm sure he's already in the playbook, as you said. I heard that as well. Why not? It's, you get him in there and get him going. So
Jets are on the clock. Brad, what'd you think?
Jets are on the clock.
I think obviously he's the number 1 overall pick. I think combine wise, I think the thing that sticks out to me was that photo of him next to all the other quarterbacks at the combine. His forearms are like double the size, making Nussmeier look like a string bean. No offense to Nussmeier. I hope he has a great career, but like literally just different beast, like very obvious, like just making me look so good with the Andrew Luck comp last year, back in March of 2025. fits the bill, like has it all. You know, you talk about how he treats people, how he prepares, how he analyzes defenses, his arm. The one thing I will say, and this isn't a knock, and I don't think it's a problem. I'm used to the tight spiral, and I saw a couple balls that were a little wobbly in the deep ball, and I think he's gonna practice a lot more with the NFL balls, and I think he'll figure it out. But
that's a really good point. He threw a ball 65 air yards to EJ Williams that you're right. At the end, it was looking like,
it was a little wobbly. I'm used to the tight spiral from Mendoza, where it was like, that's why I know he's going to be like a stud, is because he always has that tight spiral. I think he just has to get used to the NFL ball. I think that's as simple as that. And I think he just needs more reps with it, and I think he'll be fine. Same thing with Jamar Chase when he came out. Remember, he was dropping a lot of balls, didn't have that white line on the football, had to get used to not having that white line on it.
He was dropping balls in training camp, though. He wasn't dropping balls, and I don't know. I wouldn't be too nervous about, like, the other thing about pro days, like, you're going to drop back, and the one like pro day thing they did is, how many times did Indiana ask Fernando Mendoza to chuck the ball 65 air yards?
Yeah, they didn't.
And how many times is Kubiak going to ask him to do that? Probably not many.
No.
But yeah, I'm sure.
No, I thought it was interesting though that he threw to all 9 guys. That he was supposed to have, I think, 56 scripted throws. It ended up being 66, and that they chose very specifically to like target these in-cutting routes and the deeper throws and kind of the things that people had questions about, where it was like footwork, timing, ball delivery, and it's like, I don't know what people were expecting or if people were thinking that it was going to look anything other than it did, but the only time the ball hit the ground is when the ball was dropped, and there were 3 drops, and it was like,
God, he moved so much like Andrew Luck coming out of center. Oh my God, just the big old tree trunk legs coming out and just stuffing it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that I took away from this. I thought he looked bigger. Like, maybe it's just because it's like no one had pads on, and he's usually got the smaller shoulder pads, and he's with other guys wearing shoulder pads. I just thought he looked like, in everything that I saw, he looked big, and that's why I was like, with the weight he had added, like he looked bigger, and it looked he probably needs that to be.
Like, he's got to be playing at 235.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that the major he's not a generational, what they would call a generational talent, just physically, but one of the things that he is going to be knocked for is that he's not like a twitch athlete. Now, once he gets going, I mean, we saw it. He can make guys miss, and he never one of the things that I admired about him was that he always took glancing blows. I talked about this with like Jordan Howard back in the day. I would write about this all the time. Jordan Howard never took a direct shot. He would always somehow move to the side, and it would be a glancing blow, and then he'd be able to get 2 extra yards. And Mendoza did that. I mean, I think his yards after yards per carry after contact was like one of the best on the team. So like he's not a twitchy athlete, but he's going to fall forward because he's big and he's strong. And he also knows like where he's so smart that he knows where the defense is going to be, where the weakness is in the D. He just has that thing that a lot of guys don't have, because there's a ton of guys that can go out there, and I mean, like how many guys can go out there and throw it 60 yards? There's actually a lot of guys that can do that. There's just not a lot of guys that can process the stuff that he does. And that's where I think he's going to be the most successful. Like, he doesn't need to be this athlete to be successful, but like, could he be Justin Herbert? Yeah. I think that's like the comp, in my opinion. I know you said Andrew Luck. I just don't think he's going to, I feel like Andrew Luck took an absolute beating a lot of the time. And I felt like that was not, I think you saw with like Cignetti. One of the things that I admire, the many things I admire about Cignetti, is that like he just chewed Mendoza's ass anytime he took any kind of direct shot. I mean, the Iowa game, I mean, he was just like, when he's doing those things, he's like, hand the damn football off. Like, there's no reason to be taking shots early in the season. Like, there just isn't. And so, I think he took that to heart, and hopefully, because you're seeing it with like guys like Jaden Daniels, like you cannot take these shots from these super freak athletes on the defense. Like, you just can't. And I think that he knows that he can't. And so I'm excited. That's where I think that, like, even Andrew Luck took those shots, and I think that hopefully Mendoza doesn't. And I think that that's one of the things that could be a superpower for him, just because he is so cerebral.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. Like, even though he's 6'5", 240, damn near, like, so is Fred Warner,
Right.
So he's going to be colliding with those guys
totally.
all the time. And he needs to, slide. I think having that, like you alluded to, not taking direct blows, being able to get extra yardage, like come playoff time, when the time comes for him to show up in those big moments, like that's going to translate so well.
Yeah, we saw that.
But when it's week 7, like slide,
Yeah, exactly.
Slide, please.
Yeah.
We're playing the Panthers. Let's slide. All right, we're good.
Well, that's the what's the Giants quarterback, Jackson Dart. Right? Just like
launching his head into people.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, dude, it's 1st and 10. You just got, instead of, he's going for a 1st down, and it's like, it's going to be 2nd and 1, bro. Like, what are you doing? You don't need to just get destroyed. Like, there's no reason. We have other guys that can run the ball.
Now it's 2nd and 1, and we got Tommy DeVito coming in, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You guys aren't taking into account how sick it looked, though.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
I love Jackson Dart. I love his like gamesmanship mentality in terms of how he likes to like run.
I mean, the chain that he wears is pure comedy. It's like he's wearing like $1 million worth of. It's like, I don't know. He's a very funny dude.
He appeals to the kids. Let's just say
that.
Sure.
Let's go from the 2025 Hoosiers. Or do you guys actually? I'll ask this: do you guys have any closing thoughts on Pro Day before we move ahead?
Yeah, I'll go quickly. I thought a lot of guys made money today, and I thought it was a good showcase for the program. Jared Kelly had this tweet that was like from Peaks. He was like, it's something about like how there's, you could hear a pin drop in here or whatever. And it's like, I mean, I remember even like 15, I don't even know when it was, long time ago now, like going into Mellon Camp, the only time I've ever actually been in there for an extended period of time, the lights would be humming. If you ever been in there, like the lights are just like, it's like this zzz, and it's like they fixed that. And it was like, thank God it doesn't sound like that.
I'm glad you said that. Well, not sorry to cut you off, but the other thing that I want to talk about was that people were looking at Mellencamp and being like, holy shit, I can't believe Indiana's facilities are like this bad. And I saw Hoosier commish respond to somebody and be like, buddy, you don't even know, like the half, like this is actually the good. Like, it looks good right now.
I mean, Mellencamp is literally like an airplane hangar that just has a field inside of it. It's just, it's not.
Do you love ball or not?
But yeah, exactly. You come here to play football. It's not. At least there's no hum though. Again, I'll never get that out of it. If you've ever been in one of those places with those huge lights on the ceiling where it's just like you just hear that like zzz, it's like, oh my God, it's brutal. But anyway, my takeaway is that a lot of guys made some money. I think IU put on a good show. The town's gonna. I mean, the little Zagreb probably has. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, how many people?
With 32 NFL teams, yeah, you probably couldn't get a reservation there.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. So maybe even Malibu Grill, which I haven't. I think I went to with my wife. Like, and it was not good. It was very mid the last time I was there. So
I want to play for the team that goes to ZNC.
There you go.
That's awesome. Shout out to Angelo. Huge day for the guys. I'm with Jamie. My biggest takeaway was just how successful the day was for the collective group. It's like you could argue that there was guys that maybe like didn't fully improve their stock based on like the athletic testing numbers that came out, but I don't think you could argue that anybody like killed their stock or lost money today. But there's a strong argument for most of, if not all of the guys like coming out of this in a very positive light. And to have all 32 NFL teams at Mellencamp for the Indiana Hoosiers and to put that spotlight on this program, what more can you say? Like I tweeted it. It was like the Fernando Mendoza experience from him showing up last year and throwing in last year's pro day because Rourke couldn't throw to now like culminating and throwing in this year's pro day. Like, holy shit, what an experience. What an absolute experience. And then for this to be, as Angelo's on the screen right now, for this to be the last time really that we get 12 of the 13 JMU guys and all of those culture builders for this national championship team and what happened here the last 2 years in the building and together in any type of capacity before they go off and become, hopefully longtime rivals in the NFL, like in the National Football League. Like what a moment for this football team, for this football program, and something like a celebration for the Indiana Hoosier fans that you rarely get these days. Brad?
Closing thoughts. I got it. Can't wait to fill out my Signetti NFL players board, which I'm working on, and I can't wait to get that number up to like 100 or 200 or however many it may be. Super excited for these kids. I think they know more than anyone. I think Sig's prepared them super well that hopefully they go as high as they can in the draft. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter until you show up for the hard knocks in training camp. So good luck to you guys. And I know they're going to be super prepared for that, and they're going to make themselves a ton of money and get a ton of second contracts, which is the main thing. So good luck to the fellas and wishing them well. And it's kind of almost like a sentimental turning the page, and we're on to spring, aren't we?
We are. This
What a
guy has been
segue.
doing a show for 54 weeks in a row. What a segue. Let's go from the 2025 Hoosiers to the 2026 Hoosiers. And I think it's important to make the distinction that the 2025 season, we've talked about it. Signetti talks about it. A football season is like building a house, right? And each year you have to build a new house. And so as sick and as awesome as the 2025 house was, where at the end of the season, everything's humming at the highest level and the offense is going, and it's like now you have to start completely over, start from ground zero. And not only are you starting from ground zero, but you're basically doing it with a whole new cast. And so let's talk about spring ball and let's talk about the 2026 Indiana Hoosiers, because I think I hope people don't make the mistake of like looking at the 2026 team and being like, if it doesn't go exactly like it did for the 2025 team, like I'm going to be really nervous, because they're very clearly different. So before I kind of get into the 8 or 9 takeaways I have written down, is there anything that's jumping out about spring ball to you, Jamie?
Yeah, so I think that I think people are going to have to. I'm not saying temper expectations, because I think this team's going to win a ton of games. I just think that it's going to be the same slow build that it was last year. I think that this is how Sig does it. So it's just he's going to be chewing ass all spring. He's going to be on guys. We already saw it with Nick Marsh. He wants to show everyone that no one is special. It doesn't matter if you're a walk-on or if you're Nick Marsh or if you're, Charlie Becker or if you're Josh Hoover, you do it the way that we do it, or you're going to sit. And so I think that one of the biggest takeaways is that IU just came off of a national championship, and Kurt Signetti is already, again, like you said, on to this year, but he's also he's laying the foundation for what flies and what doesn't fly. And I was talking about this with someone in my mentions on Twitter. I think it was Patrick, and he was just saying the standard is the standard. And it's yeah, the standard is the standard with this football program. And if you are going to play for them, then the standard is a standard. You're getting treated just like the walk-ons. You're getting treated, no differently than anybody else. And it's good to see that's still happening again, even though they won a national title, which is still absolutely insane to me. But they won a national title. It's on to this year, and we're at the same spot where we're at ground zero, like you said. That's it. We're doing it over. Everyone's different. Everyone comes in. There are guys that are going to start. We know that already. There's not battles at some positions, but you're not going to be slipping. No one's going to be slipping. So I think just to start, that's kind of the takeaway that I have, at least from the macro view of it. We can get to the micro obviously here shortly.
Brad?
I think Jamie nailed it on the head. It's we got it's every year. I'm Signettiism. We're building a new house. All right, we got new foundational pieces. This team brings back 18 guys that have been in Signetti, 101 for about 2+ years now. So we can equate that to him bringing in the 13 James Madison transfer. So it's we have now 18 guys that have been there, done that, have been involved with the team. We take an uplift in blue chip ratio, now at 16 blue chip guys, 24/7 composite, my source. So in that sense, more talented. But at the end of the day, if we learned anything about the 2025 team, it really just comes down to what are you doing? How are you getting better each and every day? Are you sticking to it? And some guys are going to, some of the new guys are going to, fall in suit and figure it out, and some aren't. And that's just how it goes. And just excited to kind of see I'm going high level here. I have some, takeaways that I want to talk about, but I'm sure Keezer has them written down. But yeah, just excited to kind of see these guys start fresh. I think it was cool to bring in, some of the guys that were attending pro day to kind of talk to the team a little bit. Just like, hey, like I got my pro day tomorrow where I'm going to be a third, second round pick. And it's because I just listened to Coach Singh and just did what he told me, And it really is. I think having that kind of, I've compared it to the Duke basketball brotherhood, where like it feels like very like brotherhood-esque in terms of just like the standard. You got to do your part. You're either in or you're out. It's that simple, and you just got to fall in line, and we're going to win a ton of football games, and everyone's going to get paid and get drafted. It's going to be super fun. We're going to have a great time come November, December, January, right? And I think that's the goal, and I think all the guys there all spoke to Sig, and they should be, following in suit.
I 100% agree. I wanted to go back to something Jamie said because I thought it was kind of important because I didn't bring it up, but the Signetti chewing out Nick Marsh and the gold shoes thing, which blew up and ended up on First Take and all that stuff. It's like people miss the whole point there is like when you have a group of new transfers, it's like, how do you get everybody's attention? You target the best player and you blow them up. And that's what you do. And it had nothing to do with Nick Marsh, the football player, or how Kurt Signetti feels about Nick Marsh, but nobody's above the program. And so that's why that happened. That's team building 101. And it was an absolute nothing story. But even Aiden Fisher said like,
about that quote was at the end, he's just like, yeah, he's working really hard.
Yeah. But then Aiden Fisher said he was around practice and he saw Sig and he's like, he's the same guy. And so for anybody who was nervous that a championship would change him or that he wouldn't stalk complacency the same way, it's the same guy. But my first takeaway from spring practice, and Jamie, I'd love to get your thoughts first. Baylor Wilkin is taking all of the left tackle one snaps. And I can't believe this wasn't day one stuff for like, because I found this out on the third day of spring ball. But what were your main takeaways learning that it was Wilkin getting all of the snaps in place of Carter Smith?
I mean, I can't say I'm shocked. I mean, I do have to say they are thin at tackle. I think him and Liebfried are going to be Liebfried is going to be the swing inside guy. And I think Wilkin will be the outside guy. But this is a dude. It's the tackle body the tackle body type that I absolutely love. It's the guys that come in that are 6'5", 6'6", but aren't filled out as freshmen, but they're athletic. And like, that's what he showed. If you watched his huddle video, I mean, I picked him as my quote unquote deep sleeper last year going into spring, because if you watch the huddle videos of him, he's an athlete. He's like more of an athlete than he was a football player. And like, you're seeing it, now, like to be a redshirt freshman. I mean, he's only been on campus for like 9 months or something or whatever. I don't even know. Maybe because he was there last year, like a year. He's only been on campus for a year, and he's the backup tackle at either spot. So it wasn't surprising to me. But it just shows that, like, this is another thing. He wasn't a highly rated recruit. It's a kid that they saw that they thought was athletic, that they thought they could mold, and he's been molded, and he's the backup guy, and he's probably going to eventually replace Carter Smith. And so it is a huge story because I think Carter Smith's out. He talked to the media. Was it today or was it? I think it was today. And he had labrum surgery, which is, I mean, I did want to get your guys' opinion on this because I was going to ask you in DMs, but do you think that like one of the reasons that he didn't declare and he came back, well, first of all, he's getting paid a ton, I'm sure. So that obviously helps, but did you think that like one of the reasons that he came back was that he was hurt, that he was playing with a tear in his shoulder? Like, do you think that was one of the reasons that he came back? And then we can get back into Baylor Wilkin, but I thought that was like an interesting thing that I knew something was wrong with him, but like to have like a labrum tear or whatever it was, like, it's a significant injury. So for him to, obviously he said he would be back during fall camp. And he's played so much football that doesn't even really matter. He knows what he's got to do to get ready. But I did think it was just an interesting thing. And I wanted to see your guys' perspective on like, if you thought that was one of the reasons that he didn't actually declare for the draft, or if you thought he had more stuff to show, which he does. But I mean, where are you guys on that?
Brad?
It's a little bit of both. Has to be. I mean, it has to be. All factors have to be considered here. I don't think it's black or white here. It's what's great is that he had the eligibility to come back and he was hurt, and he's like, okay, I can come back and I can still get paid and kind of like rehab and get better at the same time and develop. And when my time comes to get my name called by Roger Goodell or whoever, he's going to be ready. And he's an NFL guy. I don't know if he's a tackle or a guard, but he is an NFL player. Just being on the left tackle of a 27-2 team, it's hard for me to imagine he can't fill one of those 5 spots on one of those 32 teams. It has to be just a little bit of both, and that's okay,
Yeah, I do think it's so. Just getting back quickly to Wilkin, it's a huge spot for him. I mean, they're again the only guys that they have really. So one of the freshmen they have coming in, Kenton Mondo, isn't even on campus yet. The other one is Ben Novak, who's like a 6'6", 317-pound tackle. He's also a true freshman, and he's a tackle body, so like longer guy, but that's it other than a Johnny. And I know they talked about, I think I've read where they had Evan Parker playing one of the tackle spots as well. I know that Bostad does the thing where every single, everyone plays almost everywhere basically. And I think Liebfried could easily, kick out because he's
so versatile. He can play all 5. I think
right now he's a backup center.
When we were projecting going into it, it was like Liebfried was like, we talked about the playable depth. Like the 5 seems pretty solid. And it was like Liebfried's the only sure thing that we know is like ready to go. So having Wilkin being able to kind of step into that tackle role is huge. Now we got 7 playable guys on the O-line for sure that seem to be like ready to go. Like we got Ohio State tomorrow. Like we got with Carter Smith, or we got 6 guys ready to roll. And I think you mentioned it with like Bostad, that versatility, the way they kind of develop alignment. It seems like they want guys that can kind of go. Wilkin being at 290 is pretty strictly a tackle. It's going to hard to bump him in, but like Parker getting tackle snaps because I have him as a guard. Like that's versatile. Liebfried, tackle body, but sounds like, I don't hate 6'6", 320 at my center. I don't hate it. I don't hate that at all. So it's great that we have all that kind of experience, and it's really just about getting Merrick and Parker kind of up to speed as kind of the 2 second-year guys to, fill out the rest of that depth. But like 7's plenty you need. We had 6 going into last year, so we should be just fine.
Yeah. To go back to the Carter Smith question,
included 7 with Ajani actually. So we're about at the same spot where I would say a more solid set starting 5 at the O-line spot. So Joe Moore Award, here we come.
I was going to say, going back to the Carter Smith question real quick, he said it as much himself in his press conference that part of the reason why he did decide to come back was because he wanted to prove that he could put the same stuff on tape that he had pre-injury, post-injury, and that it wasn't going to be some sort of question mark going into the draft where it's like, yeah, we saw this, but so I think that did have a lot to do with it. I think if Carter Smith was healthy and he had the same tape going into it where teams didn't have to try and guess what he'd look like post-injury, it'd take a lot of that guesswork out of it. Because like if you wanted to be like a Carter Smith hater, quote unquote, you can look at the national championship game and look at the way those 2 first-round defensive ends got after everyone on our offensive line, pretty much everybody that those 2 guys specifically played against. And then you could have some reservations about whether or not you felt like Carter Smith was an NFL left tackle. That being said, you now know he's playing through an injury and that he's going to come back. And if he puts the same season out, yeah, he's probably going to be a first or second round pick. Like he's the best lineman in the Big Ten. He's coming back next year. But for Baylor Wilkin,
first round DNs tend to make NFL O linemen look pretty silly sometimes. So I think they're okay.
Yeah, it's all right. If there, he was like
sometimes.
Carter Smith was the best lineman in the Big Ten this year, and he's returning. But Hoosiers in the chat saying fourth quarter will be huge for the O-line development for those young guys. 100% agree with that. But yeah, this is a massive opportunity for Baylor Wilkin, who, if you remember, I think he was in one of the All-America games as a senior in high school.
He was an Army All-American.
Yeah. Just a really impressive player, a kid who was completely bought into the program from day one. And it's cool to see that type of effort and dedication be rewarded. So we'll see what he does with that.
Army All-American, technically not a blue chip. So, like, what are we doing? I don't know. Fringe guys. We know who they are, you know.
And then Hoosiers are saying the injuries to the tight end position will impact the season, but should be fully up to speed before non-conference schedule ends. Completely agree with that. Signetti in his press conference, obviously we're not going to go through the smoke because there's probably another hour plus worth of smoke. They'll probably just release in another video this week. But one of the things that Sig said last week was that we have 1.5 tight ends, because I believe he's talking about Thierry didn't line up on the line at all as a high schooler. And so what do you guys, Jamie, first, what is your takeaway early for the tight end room as we're watching? It's Barker getting the tight end 1 snaps right now, at least from the videos we're seeing.
Yeah, so I mean, Schott is hurt. And then I know Parker Elmore and Trevor Gibbs are both essentially out. And PJ McFarland, who I believe is also might be hurt, but he's off
campus.
Yeah, he's not even on campus yet, right? Yeah. And I think so with Thierry, he just basically did it all. I mean, he's from a small town like on the border of Wisconsin and Minnesota, and he's just like there's not that many guys that are like 6'4", 230 that can do what he does. So he just kind of did it all. And then Barker, I think I told you guys this, like if you watch Barker's huddle video, he was in an option offense. So he was just always by far the most athletic dude on the field. And it was like funny just watching him play tight end, but like not get the ball for no reason. And just like be just driving little kids back into the end zone or something like that. Very funny. So yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the things that I think that Sig does really well, is that I think you can see the kind of guys that they target is that they want that guy that can do it all. They also want a blocker, which I think is what they think Barker can probably be. Schott's the do it all guy. And then Thierry's more of that H-back type athlete and not really a blocker. And so, it's their time to shine. If they want to play, I mean, they're going into the season with 3 redshirt freshmen, and they're going to have 3 true freshmen at the tight end spot. So they're going to be super young. So all the 3 redshirt freshmen are going to get a chance to play. And we'll see what happens, because apparently, from what I had heard, Brock Schott looks big, and people I know that for a fact that Signetti loved that dude. So once he's healthy, I think he's probably got the inside track to start. But then you got Barker, who's going to be that extra tight end type. He's already at 6'4", 250 is what they put out on him in this most recent, like the spring practice updated roster. But Thierry's also 6'4", 236 now. I mean, they're putting on good weight, and it's exciting because I think that at least Thierry, I think, is just going to be, he's one of the guys. I mean, I know we've talked about this offline, but like that's a guy that I think that has a chance to be, he could be a really good player. And again, I don't know a ton about Schott other than his huddle video looked really good. So, that's another guy. You don't get ranked in the top 200 if you're not a really good player typically. So, or at least a really good athlete. And, IU's got at least 2, and Barker looks like that as well. He just looks like a bigger dude. So excited about the tight end room. And it's a huge time for both Barker and Thierry, because they are going to get they're literally going to get every single rep. I mean, I don't think they even have a walk on tight end. I don't believe. Yeah.
No, Sig actually said, don't be surprised if you see people like, he didn't say this, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, don't be surprised to see some people kind of in weird positions as they just try and get people work as they work in 3 to 4 position groups for each position.
I mean, it makes total sense. I mean, they played, I think someone talked about it. I can't remember who it was now, but someone, Roman Hemby in his interview is basically talking about how it was such a short turnaround for the combine. I mean, they were basically playing until the end of January. Like a lot of guys were just done in the middle of around Thanksgiving. So, a lot of these guys are still like, it's a slower time to get these guys built back up, which is why they started a couple weeks later. And again, just a big opportunity for both of those guys to show what they have, because they're going to play, I think. So we'll see.
Brad,
I mean, it's by far the most intriguing room, just because there's so much unknown in terms of like who's going to actually get the tick. It really does seem like with the injuries, we're very high on Gibbs coming into it, but him being hurt and Elmore just needing a couple sandwiches or two, how I like to put it. Makes it very obvious that it feels like, when we try to replace Nowakowski, Stays, and Bomba in the 3 tight end set when we go 13 or when we go 10 personnel, Barker seems to have a very good opportunity to have an inside track to be like that main guy. Despite all the talent coming out from Brock Schott, like he's going to have all the reps. He's probably getting all the first team guys because he's the only one that's played on of the two guys, the only one that's played, 3-point stance type guy. And it's very intriguing because it's like when Gibbs comes back, I think he can mix in a little bit, but like each of these guys bring in their own kind of special little flavor. Like Schott seems like the most well-rounded one. I think Jamie put it perfectly. He's the most well-rounded. Barker's more the blocking type. Thierry's going to be more the receiving type. But obviously, they're going to develop them to become more well-rounded players at that position, much like a Horton, who's playing who's going to be at Lions training camp next year. So like they're trying to build more into that mold where they all kind of fit that 6'3", 6'4", around 240 type frame, and being able to kind of just do it all and build more into it. I agree with Hoosier-ish. Elmer gives me Loveland vibes, but I see red shirt all over that guy. I can't wait to see him be all Big Ten in 3 years, type player. He's more of a stash player is how I like to call it. But Barker has a great opportunity. I actually moved because of the injuries. I moved him up to first string just because he has the leg up on Schott now. And it really feels like it's between those two for me, considering Thierry probably needs some development on the 3-point stance type bit, but don't be surprised if you see him going a little H-back, motion out, kind of what they do with Nowakowski. Nowakowski obviously did it all, but like having Thierry kind of go in motion, be more of a receiver type player, obviously kind of gives a tell a little bit when you go personnel, hence why they're trying to develop into well-rounded tight ends. It's just very fascinating. I just can't wait to see how it pans out, but it seems like Barker and Thierry, fantastic opportunity for those guys to really thrive and get with the program and become contributors earlier in their career, which is not an opportunity that really is given to you too often in the Signetti program, where you can be a redshirt freshman. It's like, damn, I'm competing for a starting job. Like that is the only room where that's like a thing, where they have an actual like we are going to start a freshman at tight end. And I brought this point up before where we have 4 really good receivers, so we can go, what do you call it? It's not 10 personnel is where you have 4 wide. I was wrong. 13 is where you have
13 is 3 tight ends.
I had it right the first time. But anyways, we can go 10 personnel a lot. This coaching staff has been shown that they're able to evolve the defense from first year to second year, where they got a lot more diverse with their personnel. They're able to go dime, nickel, 4-2-5. They're able to go 3-3-5 and 4-3-4, right? And they were able to do all those different things and not miss a beat. Got to imagine the offense is going to find a way to get Morris, Preston, Becker, and Marsh on the field all at the same time, which puts a little bit of alleviation on the need for us to really accelerate the development, which obviously it's all we want is for all our guys to be really good, but a lot less pressure on them to be like all conference tight ends right off the bat, right? They'll be contributors for sure. We'll need to go and use our tight ends, but with the talent we have at receiving isn't going to be it's really just the block. Like who's going to get the blocking down is kind of what it seems like. That's why I'm giving Barker kind of the inside track, because it's all that guy did. He had a nasty tape where all he was doing was just mowing guys down, very similar to Baylor Wilkin, where that dude was just addicted to pancaking, just driving kids and making them eat dirt. So it seems like Barker might be the best fit and has a leg up, just him not being hurt.
So, I mean, Brad, I feel like you're doing my job for me. So you talked about 10 personnel, so I'll just whack the tennis ball back to you. The other takeaway that I've been having is that it's pretty much impossible to cover this Indiana group of wide receivers. So what are you seeing very early in camp? And then obviously Jamie, or I guess we'll go to Jamie first because Brad's drinking. Jamie, what are you seeing from these?
I'm ready to go. I'm a receiver guy. I'm going first. Ohio State has Jeremiah Smith and probably some other 5 stars. It's going to be hard for me to convince me there's a better group of 4 receivers than Morris, Preston, and then you got Marsh and Becker, who I see as like first round ceiling guys. To top it off, you have one Jeremiah Smith, but we have a Marsh and a Becker. Like we're gonna spread the ball out like we always do. Everyone's gonna eat, and just so much playmaking potential just from that group. And then you got true sophomores, guys that were able to carve out roles, and Chandler and Bond there just kind of waiting in the wings. And, Brady being wide receiver 5, didn't see a whole lot of them, but when guys got hurt, they had to step up, and like very confident in Chandler and Bond going into like the depth of this group is astronomically above where it was last year, where, we really needed the emergence of Becker to really make us feel a lot better. Obviously, Mekhi Jackson leaving because of that kind of left us where it's like, damn, if all our guys were hurt at the same time, we would have been in tough spots where it would have been just Becker and EJ out there, and Brady at times, which would have been fine. So often they just seem to get open and everything seems to work. And with the rise in talent, where it's like Becker's a 4.3 guy, like Marsh is probably a 4.4 guy. Like they got speed, they got size, they're both 6'3". Shaz Preston's a blue chip guy. He's a Nick Saban recruit. And then you have Tyler Morris, who's a 2-time national champion, top of the off-run slot. He's a 4.3 guy as well. They got speed, they got size. It's an amazing group. Love seeing Nick Marsh get chewed out early. I think he made a great point. Just chew out the best player, spring off right. And it's almost like, I don't know, it's going to work out in our favor. And I feel like Marsh is going to make some really big plays for us coming up in this year. He later made, on that same day, a one-hand snag running a slant. Absolutely disgusting. Looked like a young me out there.
I was thinking the same thing, actually.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
I was like, holy shit, you just like me for real. And it's promising. I like the group. Very big fan.
Jamie?
Yeah, I echo it, Brett. I mean, I think that they're loaded. I do think that one of the things that I had heard just from people that have been at the practices, because I asked specifically about one, was it's just, I think that people don't realize how good Tyler Morris could be. He is apparently, he was back practicing. He practiced. I know he practiced at Alabama because for the Alabama Rose Bowl game. I know he was practicing then. Obviously, he got hurt last year. That dude carved out a small role at Michigan, but they were basically just like an option team. They just literally only threw to Colston Loveland essentially. So it was kind of hard to carve out any role there. But I think that he's going to be one of the guys, at least in my opinion, that people are going to be like, oh, wow, we just have this guy and we didn't even know he wasn't even an addition from this year. It's like, this is just a senior that's going to be back and be starting in the slot, super smooth athlete. And then the other one that I asked about was Bond, because, I thought, at least for me, I thought that Bond last year might carve out a role because of the way that IU in 24 used both Price and Williams so much. I just thought that like he was going to, if there was one guy that was a freshman that might make plays, I thought it would either be Chandler or Bond. And just with the inside track to Bond, just because there wasn't that many after Morris got hurt, there just wasn't a slot receiver per se. Little did we know that they were just going to have, that Charlie Becker was going to turn into a first round pick, like in the middle of the season, coming out of absolute nowhere. But yeah, so LeBron Bond, super smooth athlete as well. I think that he's going to have a chance. And this, again, I think that one of the things that spring does is like, you're just not going to, there's no reason for Charlie Becker to be getting a ton of reps. I'm sorry. I know he's only a true junior, but like what he showed on the field last year against the best corners in the country, like he doesn't need to be out there busting it up with the ones every time. Give some of these other guys a chance. I want to see what Davion Chandler has to do or is all about, because like we saw a little bit when he just ran away on that screen pass from Purdue. But Miles Kendrick, another one who's a redshirt freshman, so we'll see. I don't know if he's an inside or an outside guy, but I think obviously the top four are Marsh, Becker, Preston, and Morris. And I think you can throw Chandler and Bond as the two guys that are like easily give you a top six in the wide receiver room. And, we'll see what kind of roles they carve out. Cause with the uncertainty at tight end and with the injuries that they have, there's going to be a lot more 4 wide receiver personnel this go around, or even 2 running back personnel. Cause we can talk about them in a little bit too. So it's going to be interesting to see how they build the offense. because they're, I mean, I just honestly, like, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, how do you cover Marsh and Becker on the outside? Like, it's going to be very,
you don't, you literally don't. That's the thing.
It's just, it's going to be fun to watch, and I'm very excited to do it.
No, absolutely. A note on Kendrick, who he's coming off an injury, which is why he ended up having to. He's probably going to end up redshirting last year, but injury recovery for him. We haven't, obviously they're not going to put a mic in front of a true freshman or a redshirt freshman, so you probably won't hear about his journey specifically from him to the media like we were able to do for like Lee Beebe, who was coming off the season-ending injury from last year. But yeah, that room is deep. It's young. It's got a bunch of different types of playmakers in it, and yeah, those guys are really explosive and really exciting. I would push back on like the notion that Charlie Becker doesn't need a lot of reps with the ones, only because it's Josh Hoover is a completely different quarterback. So like, if it was Fernando Mendoza and like they had the roommate connection, all that good stuff,
no,
I
that's
completely agree with you. It's like, let's see what those guys got. But
no, I think you're right. That's actually a tremendous point. You're right. You're right. I was more thinking about like just keeping his body fresh because of all the, you know.
No, that's 100%. But I think this is actually probably a good time to lead into that because, Jamie, I'll start with you. What are your expectations for Josh Hoover?
I mean, this is a guy with, I think he's like, is he second in the coming back or for all-time passing yards? What's
number one?
Number one, yeah. I mean, he's got almost 10,000 yards. He does. I mean, he definitely has a turnover problem. I do think, having watched some of the games from TCU, you know, he tries to make plays when plays aren't there, and Cignetti's not going to put up with that nonsense. And I think he's just going to tell him, you either, you know, one of the things that I noticed about Hoover, I think, is that when he scrambles, he's not a runner. I do think he's a fine athlete. I just think he was always trying to throw the ball when he was on the run and, you know, looking around, and then he would get sacked. But I do think that one of the things he has to do is he has to protect the football. And then, you know, he's just got to make the plays with his legs if it's there. There's no reason to throw the ball. You know, getting 3 yards is fine. Live to play another down. You don't need to make the spectacular throw. But I also think you're getting a polished kid who's got 10,000 yards of passing in his career. And it wasn't, you know, it's not like he was at some, you know, like Curtis Rourke was at Ohio. He wasn't at Ohio. He was playing in the Big 12. It was good football. I think that we're going to see the same thing that we saw with Fernando Mendoza and with Curtis Rourke, where they're going to start off slow and people are going to be like, oh shit, like this guy stinks or something like that. And everyone's going to laugh at those people when, you know, I think it's completely unfair to put like Heisman Trophy stuff on Josh Hoover. Cause I don't think that I would be shocked. You know, it's shocking when a player from Indiana wins a Heisman because it's happened once. But my point is more that that shouldn't be like the standard that he needs to be set to. And I think that one of the reasons that I'm so bullish on his, you know, the way that he's going to be successful at IU is because of first of all, they have 5 really good starters on the offensive line. Hopefully there obviously could be injuries, but you know, they have a couple guys beyond that. But I mean, he's got 2 weapons in Becker and Marsh, and you can add in Morris to that, because I think Morris is going to be really, really good. That he's going to, you know, he's going to be able to throw to as release valves. And then, you know, they have an awesome running game. Kobe Martin was awesome last year. Turbo Richard was awesome at BC. As a person that my family follows BC a lot, I mean, his issue is more just he only had a couple of fumbles, but they were bad fumbles. But he's a really, really, really talented player. So, and with BB coming back, my point is more that, you know, he's got other guys. It's not just going to be him trying to make plays with one wide receiver that's, you know, a legit option. So he's got all these weapons. He just needs to take what the defense gives him. I think that was one of the best parts about Mendoza last year, was that he was never forcing things. And when he did, he came back and just had a solid drive after a miscue. So that's my take on Hoover. Polished quarterback, does get a little bit turnover happy, tries to make plays that sometimes aren't there. If you just eliminate that, like, I just think you're looking at like a top tier college Division I quarterback. Despite his, you know, being only like he's listed at 6'2", 200, but from what I've heard, there's no way he's that tall. but
I'm not
yeah,
worried
so
about it.
I'm excited. I'm super excited
or anything of that towards Josh Hoover. I'm going to let the 10,000 yards speak for it. Brad, what are your expectations for Hoover? Before I kind of piggyback
there
off
was
what
something Jamie said that really got my gears going. And it seemed like Hoover was just trying to make a play happen. And what's nice about being at Indiana, quarterback friendly offense, play's going to be there. Throw the ball. We're going to run the ball. And it's going to open up the pass game, play action. We're going to have it all. He's experienced enough to play and run the offense and almost not miss a beat. Really just need to be at like Rourke level. Honestly, with the talent level we have, like compared to 2024, like doesn't even need to be Rourke level. Doesn't even need to finish top 10 Heisman. He just needs to run the offense, prepare, try to be like it's weird to say, like, because he doesn't need to be Mendoza, but like try to do the things that made Mendoza so great, which isn't necessarily being 6'5" and having a cannon arm and being super accurate. It's being prepared, knowing how to handle, having the answers to the test. Those are the things that are going to be important for him. He's a great thrower of the ball. He's, like Jamie said, not the greatest runner. I once said he was a good runner because I think 6'2" quarterback, you got to be able to scatter a little bit. You got to have some wheels. He doesn't really, to be honest. And really just make the play. It's there. Rely on the run game. So like you're going to have the best O-line in the conference, maybe the country, best receiving group in the conference, maybe the country. Going to have a great run game because of that. With two talented running backs that have led Division I programs in rushing in a given season, plus Kobe Martin, who is everyone's fan favorite right now in terms of a darling breakout candidate. So you got a three-headed monster. The Ninja Turtles are back, and we got and then Hoover's he is the returning production leader in passing yards in college football, and he's on the returning national championship team that has loaded and probably upgraded every single position besides his own. He has everything set for him to be successful. Love that Tino's working with him. And really, all you need to know is Cignetti handpicked him. I don't care what Sonny Dykes has to say about him. Maybe don't put him in those situations to where he has to play hero ball and turn the ball over. When Cignetti chooses a quarterback, and he was our first choice, didn't hear rumors of anyone else. Not one.
Regardless of what people tried to tell you.
Not one little murmur of another quarterback that Indiana was looking at. We got our guy. We found him, Cignetti, who's the king of film. Like literally put in 20-hour days, that guy. Picked him. Picked Phil Rivers, Russell Wilson, Curtis Rourke, McLeod over at James Madison, DiNucci. So many good quarterbacks he's picked and has found and has developed and turned into all conference guys. Hoover should just be another one in the chain. Like it's real. That's the expectation. Just be serviceable. Like don't lose the game. Like that's the expectation. Like don't lose it. Just do your job.
And he's not a game manager. My whole thing is I don't want him
to win.
Yeah. I don't want him to like change who he is, but I also don't want him to become a game manager. But because he's got the guys to, he's got the guys around him to be successful. That I don't think that he had before. He had good players at TCU. I think he had Quentin Johnson. Was it Quentin Johnson? I can't remember.
He was going to have Quentin Johnson, but
Eric McAllister was his guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's just now he's got multiple legit, he's got NFL options that he's going to be throwing to. That's what gives me such hope about where he can go from here.
Yeah, and I think Hoosier Ish in the comments makes a really good comment about the VR and the VR training that they do for the processing development of these quarterbacks, and I think why they've been so successful. Like Cignetti loves that shit. He talks about it all the time. The VR stuff for quarterbacks is ingenious. I'm surprised more schools don't do it, unless I live under a rock and they're all doing it. But like,
I just heard about it recently.
This was something
we're doing things with the VR processing tool. That's going to do wonders for Hoover. He's going to see it all. He's going to have been there, done that. He's going to have all the confidence in the world. Like when we talk about those big moments, and we knew Mendoza showed up when the lights were brightest, don't necessarily have that with Hoover coming in because he hasn't really been in those spots at all. So it's going to be, I think, having that, he has the experience, which I think will help in that regard. He has the VR training, and he has the coaching staff that's going to give him the cheat sheet to the test before the game anyways. So, like, checked all 3 boxes. Like, he should be fine and be able to handle the big moments. And, and I always say this, like, when it comes to the big moment and when it comes to making a big play, like, you're in the show and shit's going to happen. And I just don't want this fan base to turn on this kid because he's not Mendoza and he didn't go 16-0. I think that's a toxic way to go about things. And I'm not like putting any self-imposed limitations on this team. I'm just saying, like, shit's going to happen. And no matter what happens, as long as we make it to the big dance, like we're going to have a shot to win this whole damn thing again. So, yeah, I'm excited for Josh Hoover. He's uber talented. He's got a whip on him too. He can really throw it, despite his kind of smaller stature.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out that when we're talking about expectations for Josh Hoover, that people are obviously going to be quick to just compare him to the last quarterback who was here. And what people are going to realize, I think, as time passes, is that Fernando Mendoza wasn't just the best quarterback in Indiana history, or wasn't just the best. Like, this dude is unbelievably special in his ability to process information and his ability to be a networker and just the things he's interested in on and off the football field. And he's built like Josh Allen. Like, he is one of one alien freak stuff. Like, I know the personality doesn't match up with the words I'm saying to describe him, but it's like people are going to look back in 4 or 5 years and be like, oh my God, I can't believe we didn't see this. Like, Josh Hoover is not 6'5", 230 with the.
He's a day 3 draft pick.
But honestly, he might even be better than that. But I'm not. But I think that's more than okay. It's like, what is he? He's an unbelievably productive college quarterback. He's the most productive college quarterback that Curt Cignetti is ever going to coach, or has ever coached up to this point. And then the other thing is that I was watching Brooks Austin break down Josh Hoover tape, and he was talking about TCU's offense, and TCU ran a lot of what he was calling back to RPOs, and a back to RPO is the quarterback's going to turn his back to the defense in a situation where he can pull the ball and make a read, and he's going to turn back around and try and create a mental, like, recreate the picture of the defense after guys have already moved. What is one thing you never saw any quarterback under Curt Cignetti do, let alone turn their back to the defense? Like, he's not even going to be asked to get under center. The only time he might turn his back to the defense is if he's running away from them into the end zone for a touchdown. And so if you look at what he's going to be asked to do in this Indiana offense, he's going to be asked to say hike, make a quick read, and deliver a football accurately, or hand it off. Yeah, he's highly capable of doing that. Highly capable. And then
he's the best on the market at that, I would say.
And then, like, Eric McAllister is an awesome playmaker, and if you look at the way he stacks up with this wide receiver class, but there was like some other things and some different like scouting stuff you can look at for him. He didn't. TCU didn't have anybody close to the level of Marsh or Becker or even like a Tyler Morris in the slot. Like, he just didn't have that type of third option. And so the playmakers around this guy, like you guys said, the quarterback friendly offense for him, I think to go in and think that he's going to be the number 1 pick or going to like walk away with the Heisman with this unbelievable story would be a mistake. But it would also be a mistake to be like, he's got no shot to do anything either. It's like, no. This is a highly capable quarterback coming into the most quarterback friendly offense in the country. It's like, yeah, he's probably going to be really freaking good. He's
got the keys. That's right. It's the Hoover season, period.
Let's talk about the running backs, though, because I know, Brad, you were toting the Lee Beebe Jr. horn very early. And to be honest, it's not insignificant or lost on me that he was the second person sent to the podium by Curt Cignetti to speak on behalf of this football team. But, Jamie, I'll go to you first. What are you hearing about the running back competition? Obviously, we're seeing a lot of Kobe Martin running with the ones in the videos we saw, but we're 3 practices in. Every time I see Turbo Richard on a video, it looks like he's sped up or in double speed, which is absolutely insane. So what are you seeing out of the running back room this far in spring?
Yeah, I think it's going to be dynamic. I am a Lee Beebe apologist. I thought he was honestly, I thought he looked the best of all 3 running backs when he was healthy last year. It's a dude. One of the things that they target is being able to break tackles and yards after contact. And Beebe is just his entire career, regardless if he was at UAB or the small sample last year before he got hurt. The dude he's very hard to beat. I still have him as my, I think it's going to be, they're going to do the same thing that they did last year where they're going to have all 3 of them play. I just think that Beebe, I really think he's going to be like the number 1, the starting guy, but Richard and Martin are also like they're going to be there too. So I just think that the three of them, I don't think we're going to see very much of the of Quano and Campbell this year. Hopefully, if there's no injuries, but they have three, in my opinion, high level running backs that all have different skill sets. I mean, Richard caught a ton of balls out of the backfield. Again, IU doesn't really do that. So he's going to be running between the tackles a little bit more, but if they need to, they got a guy that can go out and catch a pass. You got Martin, who always looks like he runs unbelievably hard. BB, who is also a really good pass catcher, but again, he's between the tackles guy. And I think that's one of the reasons they brought him in last year. They knew that they had the speed guy with Hemby, or they thought they had the speed guy with Hemby. They had the multi-talented Kalon Black, and then they had BB, who could catch the ball, but was more of that thumper inside the red zone. And I think that that's kind of essentially what they're going to be doing this year as well. And you don't want, if your plan is to go to the playoff, how could you not have that be your plan this year? You need three guys, and IU needed three guys. Even though they leaned so heavily on Hemby and Black down the stretch, Martin had like a snap where he was like a fullback in the national championship game, if I recall, or maybe that was against Ohio State. I can't really remember, but they need three guys, and I think that they have three really, really good ones.
Brad?
Elite room. Like I said, two guys that have led the country or led their teams in rushing yards. Lee Beebe being at UAB with a high broken tackle rate, going to be more of that thumper guy. Like Jamie was saying, took the words right out of my mouth. You have the speedster and Turbo Richard, who I think brings a lot of kick return potential also on this roster as we talk a little special teams, right? Trying to fill that void. I think Richard brings a lot of that upside in the special teams return game from a kick return standpoint. By the way, Davion Chandler and Bond should be competing for punt return roles is what I would be doing personally. I don't want Becker or Morris doing that stuff. I would rather have the younger, talented guys find the ways to get them on the field, right? Anyways, Turbo being
catching punts.
I'm just using that as an example. If anything, it would be Morris. But anyways, Richard being more that kick return guy, Martin being kind of can do it all. They can all do it all. Like Lee Beebe caught the ball a lot at UAB. I think he had like 500 receiving yards his last year.
He was no
walk-on receiver.
Yeah, he was big time. BB listed at 5'10", 220, like that red zone, big thumper guy, short yardage. Like, I think when it came to push and shove, like we really did ride Kalon Black through to the playoffs when it came down to it. And I think Lee Beebe might be that guy. And it could even be a Martin, to be honest. With Richard being as small as he is, it's hard to imagine when it's like we need a guy to just keep pounding him. Like, I don't know if Richard's that guy, but he's so dynamic and we can use him in so many different ways to where I think we're going to find a lot of success with him. And then obviously Martin just being a breakout candidate. Any way that he can keep the other two guys fresh is a win for this group, right? If we can keep these guys as fresh as possible and hitting the hole hard at every single moment and just keep everyone fresh, which like Sig likes to do, is going to be huge for this team. And it's like, I remember people getting on me for putting BB at the spot. It's like, yeah, he leans seniors. So like I got BB as my one right now, but like that's realistically it's 1A, 1B, and 1C.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, it's not really, it doesn't matter who's the starter. Like it doesn't matter at all. They're going to have very similar carries throughout the course of the year. And it's just so dynamic. They're all so dynamic and they can do it all and they all do it in their own special ways. Right. Which I think is really fascinating and honestly really exciting because game by game, it's like Keiser says, every offseason it's like hot hand. Like who's that guy? And toward the end of the playoffs, like Black was the hot hand because he's a 25-year-old playing against 22-year-olds. You know what I mean? So, checks out. Right. And then so like who's going to be that guy this year, game to game? And we'll kind of see who's able to kind of step up when the time comes, but they're well equipped to at least find a guy in a given game.
I love it. Yeah, I think you guys covered it all with that running back. It's like John Miller just has another room where he has three guys so he can feel comfortable just trotting out there and just being like, go do your job, and they'll just go and do their job. It's unbelievably impressive what they've been able to do with a bunch of different faces, rolling over new faces, keeping the same guys involved. And Yeah, it's like Kobe Martin had 500 rushing yards last year. Like that is elite production for your third running back. And he isn't even guaranteed. Like, he's not even the starter for either of you guys going into this season because of the production and the guys that they have in the room. So it's like, yeah, that's
wasn't like
it's
the other teams
it's underrated
out there. Like he was going against ones.
Yeah, I just quickly with Kobe Martin, like he actually ended up having the higher yards after contact per attempt last year than BB. Obviously, BB only played in 3 games, but I mean, Martin forced 16 missed tackles in 78 attempts. I mean, the dude was just like very, very hard to bring down. So, I mean, if you extrapolate that, I know some of that was going against not going against the ones, but like, he was awesome last year. And when he got the chance, and I think that we saw that you cannot, like, I felt like Roman Hemby wore down as the year went on because he took a lot of the snaps, especially early, and kind of took the brunt of it, and Black finished it off. But like, I don't think Sig fully trusted Martin, but Martin still ended up with 500 yards. So you got a guy coming back that had 500 yards rushing, which is huge.
Yep. Any closing thoughts on the offensive side of the ball? Actually, this is I have a closing thought. I didn't say this when we were talking about the tight ends, but I saw a shot of the line of scrimmage from the right side, and I thought Brunner was playing tackle. I was like, who the hell is that playing tackle? Like, that's not Ajani at right tackle. And then I looked a little closer, and it was 85. I was like, holy shit, he looks ginormous. Any closing thoughts on the offensive side of the ball before we move over to the defense?
They might be better than last year.
I know. I kind of agree with that.
It's not going to be because Hoover's like, conquering countries
it's the cast.
Like, he's not like the top to bottom, just beyond loaded. Mm-hmm. Beyond loaded. They are in a much better spot roster construction wise than they were last year, and that's going to be it's the margin is greater on the defensive side of the ball. There's a transition right there.
Well, if you want to know who, so I just was trying to quickly look at this on PFF, but like Kobe Martin had yards per contact per attempt, or yards after contact per attempt. Kobe Martin was 3.86. Mark Fletcher was he was 47th. Mark Fletcher was 44th. So you're talking about a guy that's like in that category. Jadarian Price was 39th at 3.92. So a guy that's like elite at breaking tackles and elite at getting, falling forward and whatnot. So if that guy's your like, 1C, like, holy hell, to go along with it's a really good room. It's a really good offense. And again, Josh Hoover doesn't need to be Superman. They have more weapons this year than they did last year, which is scary.
What's fascinating to me is that how is this still kind of like a secret? Like, no one's talking about this. Everyone's talking about Miami, Texas, Oregon, like, and they're all great. Like they're loaded too. They're going to be in the show. We're going to see them in January potentially.
We're talking about it, Brad.
No one's talking about it.
We're 2 hours in. What are you talking about?
Oh,
let's talk about the defense, because this is something this was something that Brad just couldn't wrap his head around for some reason. But Jamie, maybe you had a better idea of it. We got, obviously things change and we get different things, but I don't believe there are wasted steps when it comes to these Curt Cignetti practices, especially with how like detail oriented he is. We saw a linebacker drill from the most recent practice. It had the lines of 3, so it was in a 3 linebacker set, and Caden Turner was the starting third linebacker along with Roe Hardy and Bones Jones. So Jamie, what's been your takeaway from the linebacker room? Because it's something that going into leaving the season, you're like, okay, if we don't go out and explicitly replace Aiden Fisher, maybe you don't feel as confident about the room. But I'm sitting here now in the middle of, or the beginning of April, really confident in the amount of talent in that linebacker room. So what are your early takeaways from it?
Yeah, I mean, again, I just think that they got, it's going to be impossible to replace Aiden Fisher. It's just he's been with Sig. He was with Sig too long. He's played too many snaps. But they have Isaiah Jones. so like, okay. And then you have Roe Hardy back, and he was arguably their best linebacker.
Best player in college football.
Yeah, he was so good. And then Caden Turner, like he's been
high five get hit.
What's that?
So he's wearing 5 this year. So instead of try 4, because it goes from D'Angelo Pons try 5 get 6
true.
to Roe Hardy try 5 get hit.
Yeah. I mean, he's a thumper. I mean, and then I think Jaden Williams is going to play early. PJ Nelson, from what I heard, looked good as well. And Turner, I think that like in the heavy packages, we're going to see Jeff Utzinger, who's still there, who's a walk on. And then, again, from what I had heard from the practice from people that were there, Olinger looked like thick and ready to play at this level. And Jacob Savage the same. Like they're both in, almost 225 pounds as we speak, and they're just got on campus. So like, it's a room that is young after the top 3, but again, they've been cultivating these guys, and there's a lot of talent in that room.
Brad, I see the gears going.
They're so deep. It's like, as much as I love Olinger and Savage and PJ Nelson, I love that they're getting up to weight. It's like Utzinger and Turner played legit snaps when Fisher went down last year.
Yeah.
Turner had a pick in the Maryland game. Like, they are so well equipped, like snap wise, like in the collective, like this is a better room than last year, because you got to account for the Jones getting better, Hardy's getting better, Turner's getting better, Utz is getting better. They're that 2 deep at linebacker. It's try to match it. I don't know. Like, you got 3 of those guys are 23 years old, going into 5th year in college, and then you got Roe Hardy, the best player in college football. Like, they're all studs, super talented. Like, no, Utzinger is like technically a walk-on, but he's been contributing every year in the Signetti era so far. He's damn near he is a Signetti guy. Like, all 4 of those guys were on the 2024 team. Like, they've been around. It's just I think it's more so like, would love to see Williams and Olinger and Savage get on the field in some capacity, whether that's special teams. I think that'd be super valuable to give, Bones and Hardy some breathing, so they don't have to play on special teams. I think that'd be awesome. But like, when it comes to defensive snaps, like, it's really going to hard to take stuff away from those 4. It just is. Like, those guys are experienced. They're old. They've been with Brian Haynes. Like, those are his guys. Like, they didn't go anywhere. Like, they begged Caden Turner to come back. Like they don't do, like, he had his degree. He could have gone on and started selling real estate. Like, had to start making, money. And now he's like, oh, fuck, I'll take $1 million. Sure, I'll come back. Why not? Like, they made him come back, and now he's their 3rd linebacker. Like, they are going to be so solid in that group, and I'm just so excited to kind of see how that goes. I have them projected as a 4-2-5, so I have Jones and Hardy as my 2 deep. I think they're going to rely. They have a very deep TV room that we're going to talk about. Like, there is going to be, like, no matter what personnel they do, they're well equipped to handle it with those 4. And then, given any injuries, like, I'm super confident in the developments of Olinger being a blue chip guy. Savage was Kentucky Player of the Year, not a blue chip technically, but Kentucky Player of the Year. Like, come on now. And then Jaden Williams, eat a sandwich. We'll get there. PJ Nelson seems to be working in, going to be targeting for some snaps. Lots of talent there. And then you got the X factor, Quentin Clark. Like, what is he? I don't know. Is he a D lineman? Is he a linebacker? He's listed at D line right now. Special team guy. He's going to be involved in some capacity. I'm not sure if it's with the linebackers, but you got pieces there for days. They go 4 deep.
It's a room that, especially when you like take into account that, going back to the first team that Signetti came in with, the 2024 team, that they were predominantly 4-2-5, that, like, yeah, the room is actually, like, significantly deeper than people want to give it credit for. Let's go to the DB room, though, and I'm going to split it by corners and safeties, because at least early in camp, and this is something Signetti does, where he takes the guy who knows the most about whether it's the offense or the defense, and that's the person who's typically going to start, at least initially. And so I think, and we didn't get complete confirmation, but it was my, I guess, hypothesis or my guess that Hollywood Bell was the number 1, was cornerback 1 across from Jamari Sharp in the first practice. Now, we saw some videos from later practices where it looks like AJ Harris is now, like, fully, like, gotten himself into that role. And so, Jamie, I'll ask you first, is there some sort of, I guess, quote unquote, real competition for that cornerback slot across from Jamari Sharp, or is this kind of AJ Harris's position to lose.
I actually do think that there is. So my take on the situation, at least from where I sit and from what I've heard from people that were there that have been at practices, is that Gandy was definitely getting run with the one. I don't think Ryland Gandy stays at IU if he doesn't think that he's got a shot to play. I know that obviously AJ Harris has the accolades and the 5-star or whatever he was, like close to 5-star guy. But the truth of the matter is, like, he wasn't that good last year, and it might have been the scheme at Penn State. Like, he wasn't really a press man guy. That's probably one of the reasons that they sold him on IU, is coming in and playing more zone, because he was really good when he was at Penn State with Tom Allen, who plays much more hybrid, like zone type concepts. So Sharp, definitely starter going into camp. And then I did hear about with Bell and Williams. I did hear that, like, those guys, they're being used more as like traditional slot corner type. So I do think that, like, yes, you saw them with the ones, and I think it's because I don't know how I think one of the things that IU does, and I think Brad talked about this, they're going to be super multiple on defense. It's going to give them a ton of like flexibility of what they can do. We saw that last year with Devin Boykin, where, like, they had him on the field when it suited him, when he needed to be on the field, or when it was advantageous for his skill set, and then he wasn't when it wasn't. And I think that that's what they're going to do this year. I think they're going to see, so Bell was working with Carson Williams, like in this as a true slot corner, and Carson Williams is the Montana State transfer, is going to be a sophomore. So I would assume that it's going to be some combination of Sharp on one side, Gandy or Harris on the other. Maybe it'll be Harris. I still think that Gandy, he played pretty well last year, I thought, when he was actually on the field. And then they're going to have the core. They're all on my 2 deep, because I think that all those guys are going to either play or get playing time based on how they perceive the other team. So if you're playing Iowa, you're probably going to run more 3 linebacker sets, and then you only have 2 corners. But if you're playing, some teams that spread it out, I don't know what North Texas runs now that they have a different coach, but that might be okay. Well, we need 3 corners on the field, and we need a true slot corner. So I think they're going to be super multiple. I think it's going to be similar to last year, but I also think that they have, other than, Pons was, I thought I use best player, but it's on defense. But I also think that, like, you added Harris, who was a former 5-star, played at Penn State for multiple years. You have Gandy, who started at Pitt, who played pretty well when he came in against Iowa last year. And then, Jamari Sharp obviously made the interception. I think I just talked about him, but Jamari Sharp made the interception, the sealing of the national championship. And then you have Carson Williams from Montana State, and they won did they win the D1AA national title? Yeah, he was like a starter for them. So, and I know, I have known since last year, because you don't get number 3 if you're Hollywood Bell, if they don't see you as a guy that's going to play. And he didn't redshirt. He was one of the couple guys that didn't redshirt. So he's another guy that I think that I really truly think that they have 5 guys that, I don't think that they're going to be like, hey, let's just sit Jamari Sharp to play Carson Williams or Jalen Bell. But I think that in the event that one of those guys goes down, they have multiple guys that can step right in and kind of take the reins.
Brad.
Yeah, I think Jamie hit on a lot of points that I stand on when it comes to the corner room. I think Gandy, Harris, Sharp, being seniors, tenured, been there, done that. Like, AJ Harris coming to more of a scheme fit, had a struggle last year, planned on being in this upcoming draft, is in Bloomington, training, getting better at Signetti Rehab, as I like to call it, with Gandy being so serviceable when Pons went down for the Iowa game, and really defense not really missing a beat there. Those 3 are in, I think, a full-on competition that I think will just go on throughout the entire season, to be honest. Like, I think it's going to be hard to just not play one of them, and I think you're going to see all of them on the field at a given point. I think Bell, like you said, if one of those guys goes down, Bell, Carson Williams, even Zachary Smith, who's also working in those slot roles, who I loved on film when he was coming out, are also very serviceable to come in as depth pieces We'll love to see those guys get involved on special teams. Like I've talked about how good our specialists are, and what's amazing about it is that we don't necessarily need. I think it's cool that we played a lot of starters on special teams, but I don't know if that was necessarily out of like that's how we do things. I think it was more so out of necessity. Like we have to play our starters. We don't have this. A lot of our third, fourth string guys are like year one guys. So they're not ready to be on the field yet. And I think you have guys like a Bell and a Carson Williams that can play gunner now and like make plays in other ways and impact the game using their talent. And as we know, like Bones being a former special teams guy and Duke Way being a special teams guy, like those guys turn into Becker being our gunner for 2 years, turn into really good college football players on their given position in their given side of the ball once they go into the two main phases. 3-phase game, but offense, defense take up more of the snaps in a given game, right? Actually 3x, right? 3x the amount of snaps, and then some. So it's like so much depth, so much talent. It's like, can we talk about safeties? Like these corners are so, I'm not even worried about them. Like it doesn't matter who's out there, to be honest. Like I think Harris is gonna have a breakout year. I think Gandy he was a stud at Pitt and came in so well, and then like Sharp really coming into his own last year. Like they're just so. And then you have to count for the development that they're going to go through in these two camps through spring and fall. Like they're going to be so good. It is like they're going to like losing like Fisher. They're going to figure out how to replace Pons in the collective, right? And obviously having a guy being able to take one side of the field is a great luxury to have. But we talk about those top three. They're all 6 foot 198 plus.
Yeah.
Like they are specimens. Like they are, and obviously it doesn't matter how tall you are given the whole Pons argument, but it's like they're very talented players and they wouldn't be there if they didn't have full on confidence. Like you said, I don't think Gandy comes back if he doesn't think he's just waiting for Harris or Sharp to get hurt. Like he's going to be very involved.
I love it. You said it, Brad, and then you like went on a little bit longer of a spiel. But no, let's talk about the safeties because I've been banging this drum for what feels like over a year. But it's indisputable, at least in all the clips that I've seen, that Byron Baldwin Jr. is running with the ones. My other big takeaway from the safety room is that Preston Zachman looks like a linebacker to the point where like you could tell me tomorrow that they were moving him to linebacker, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like that dude's ginormous. I can't believe he's a safety. Jamie, what are you hearing about the safety room? What are you seeing or hearing about who's starting at Rover and kind of where those guys are working in?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested there because, like you said with Zachman, like very long but also big. So, and he definitely played like an actual like deep safety type position before. So it'll be interesting to see if he does that again. Because like one of the things I think what was the most surprising to me of any of this stuff that we saw coming out just from like the weights changing, the heights and weights, was that Byron Baldwin is down to 185. So I had him start as my starting Rover. I still have him there right now. I haven't changed anything, but I do think that like maybe Zachman moves into the Rover role and Byron Baldwin moves opposite Amari Farrell. I do think that there's like, I think that they have some good pieces and the good depth pieces, but I think that there's a clear Amari Farrell, whichever way it is. I think Farrell's a deep safety, but I think it's Farrell, Zachman, and Baldwin, and I don't really think it's that close. I think they brought in Quan Sanks as essentially a backup, and I think they really like DeMonte Timms, the guy that they got late in the process as a true freshman. I just don't think that he's going to, unless there's injuries, I don't think we really see anyone. I honestly think that it's like the backups are really like Sanks and Stewart, who we didn't even see at all, and then Garrett Reese, who burned a red shirt. So I would think that like Garrett Reese seems like a 6'2", 205-pound, like deep safety type. That would be the guy that you kind of don't really see coming that ends up playing a role, especially if there's an injury, which we've seen with Preston Zachman. I mean, he's like in his 7th year. So, there could easily be issues there, but it's the starters are really, really good. There's a lot of experience. Even though Baldwin doesn't have experience, Amari Farrell started literally like every single game of his career essentially, and Zachman is in his 7th year. So it's an exciting room, old and then young. Lot of depth there. I think just unproven depth. So we'll see how it turns out. But this is the time you need to create that depth. Like, can Garrett Reese be that next guy? Is Keontae Stewart a guy that can play this year? We just don't know. We just haven't seen it. And then DeMonte Timms, again, he's also built essentially like a linebacker. So I do see him as a rover going forward, but that's another guy that I know that they really, really liked. They like, they lost Jaja Boyd. I thought that was a bigger loss than we are letting on. He played well when he did play. I just think that he saw the writing on the wall with Zachman, Farrell, and Baldwin, and was kind of wanting to get into I want to play football and be a starter somewhere. So good room, deep room, but unproven room. So we'll see how it goes. And again, this is, like I said, this is the time you build depth.
I see the smile on your face, Brad. So what do you got?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, yeah, we're sending Jaja Boyd to Colorado to get some tick, and then he's going to come back. And really how it's going to be. Same with Alberto. Anyways, it's yeah, I think Baldwin really emerging. I have him as my starting rover. I think him dropping weight actually shows me that he's actually going to be more in that rover spot. I think they like the Devon Boykin type. That one worked out a lot more than Terry Jones, to where we got kind of exposed in those
You're right.
crosser routes in Notre Dame, where that bigger safety trying to cover some slot guys isn't necessarily going to work. And Notre Dame was able to expose that against us. So I think they're going to go with that mold where Sanks and Baldwin will kind of mix in there. I think Baldwin's going to be the starter, but Sanks is definitely going to be involved. I don't think he comes to Indiana to sit on Pine. Might be taking a little Ryland Gandy route potentially and get his shot next year. But I think Baldwin, Zachman, and Farrell, like just a couple of 6'2", 205 safeties, like they're going to kill some kids. I would hate for someone to come up the middle. I think Zachman's going to pop someone's helmet off this year. That's my hot take. It's going to be awesome. And they're going to look, I think, with this size and this depth, and we talked about the linebackers and the, like, it's no fly zone with those 3 corners and then these 4 safeties. You want to include Sanks here. And then obviously the importance of emergence of Stewart, and then Reese, who burned a red shirt last year, got involved. And I was very impressed with his tape coming out, very similar to Zachary Smith. Seeing those guys kind of emerge, filling in some special teams roles to give those guys some breathers, I think will be huge. And like, we even got like Anthony Chung, Clay Connor. I'm very high on DeMonte Timms, him coming in at 205 already, ready to go, ready to play, as I like to call it. Like, he's gonna chomp at the heels of some of these players as well once he gets up and going. But like at the top, like Baldwin, the emergence he has, Keezer's the biggest Baldwin fan I know. He is. I'm sold. Like, this guy's going to be the starter, and he's going to live up. He's a gamer, and I think Farrell can bounce back from some of the hiccups he had last year, and Zachman kind of bringing that, veteran big thumper. But don't get it twisted. This guy can cover. He can cover. He was deep safety at Wisconsin. He can move, which is why he plays safety instead of linebacker. He is this room's scary. So like the whole DB room as a whole, like when you want to break it down, they're gross. And yeah, I'm loving what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brad. That room is downright terrifying. It's freaky athletic. They're big, they're fast, they're not afraid to put their chin strap into the football. Like, so to say like there's gonna like, so I think the perfect way to put it is that if it's Zachman, it could be Baldwin, it could be even for like somebody's getting a helmet popped off going over the middle. It's just, and not in some sort of like dirty hit. It's just like, our athletes are better than your athletes. We recognize it better, and that's how you square somebody up, is you beat them to the spot. And we got a bunch of guys out in the secondary that'll beat guys to the spot.
I just envision this defense looking a lot like those Nick Saban defenses at Bama this year, where it was like, oh fuck, we're playing Alabama. Like, Like, I think they're going to be that type of tone-setting type defense. Like, it's going to be hard to move the ball because we haven't even covered D-line. I think that's the best part.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, dude, Brad. You might as well just take that. I should switch you to the left here and put me in the middle and let you drive the bus because these transitions have been absolutely unbelievable.
I've been on fleek today, man. We got the chemistry going.
I think this is before we jump into the defensive lineman. I think this is a good time to kind of at least mention the Kevontae Hugan stuff. We saw the reports last night that he's no longer on the roster. I don't have any other information in terms of like why that is, so I'm not going to speculate about it. Hope everything like is okay, like health wise and things like that. And again, don't want to speculate on any of the reasons why. If it's meant for us to find out, we'll find out. If we don't find out, we don't find out. And wish everybody the best in that endeavor. But in terms of, because I saw John asked about it in the chat, but yeah, I'm not sure what happened on the Kevontae Hugan front there. He's just no longer on the roster. So if we get some information, we'll pass it along. But let's talk about the defensive line because, like Brad just alluded to, it could be the most talented unit on the team in a team that has a ton of talented units. And like one of the things that has stood out to me is that obviously Daniel Ndukwe came on in a huge way after the injuries to Kellen Wyatt and Stephen Daly last year. He had 2 sacks in the Peach Bowl. Also blocked the punt in that game. It blocked the punt as a true freshman as well. He is the starting stud right now. And I saw Burnham on the other side of him starting at the other defensive end spot. So Jamie, what are you hearing about the defensive line in camp, and what are you hearing specifically about the 2 end spots?
Yeah, so I think that I know that they like to just play one guy a lot. I think that's kind of what they've always done. I just think that this year they have too many guys that are legit. That's the only way I can say it, because I know that from the reports that I had heard that Tobi Osunsanmi, who's one of the transfers from Kansas State, is like one of the most athletic guys that people have seen at IU. He's
unusual movement.
Right. Yeah. I mean, 6'2", 251 with like freakish quick moves and super strong. What do they call it? It's like freeze frame or
the freeze.
What is it? Yeah.
The freeze.
Yeah. He's legit. I have him ahead of Ndukwe just because he's a senior, honestly. Like, yeah. I don't think that there's much difference between the two, because I think Ndukwe coming in as a true sophomore and playing like a massive role down the stretch obviously shows that, you know, he is a player and has a chance to be a really, really good player. I just think that like Osunsanmi came here, you know, to prove that he's an NFL guy. I'm not saying that Ndukwe isn't in time. I just think that right now, if you told me gun to my head, like it's Osunsanmi is that start on one side. And on the other side, you know, Burnham is smaller, I guess, at 6'4", 255. If that's small, I don't really know. But the other guy's is Chidi Obiizer, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah,
6'5". Yeah, 6'5", 280. I think one of the reasons they're so intrigued is he's like recently started playing football, super raw, but only a redshirt junior. And being that size, like he can move inside and out. I think that gives him, again, this team, they love being multiple. They love being able to show different looks. They love being able to not disguise what they're doing. And he's just another one of those guys. So if you're you could easily run him out there, move him inside, give a break to some of the defensive linemen, move Landino over to nose tackle, give Tyree Tucker a breather or whatever. I just think that this is the deepest defensive line room that's ever, I mean, by far at IU. I don't think it's even close. I think these guys are there's a lot of draftable players here, and a couple of them aren't even going to start. So that's how I feel about, especially at the end. So, and then I did want to mention, I do have Quentin Clark stuck around. He's an redshirt sophomore. They moved him to defensive end. I don't think he sticks around if he's just not going to either. I don't know if he's going to.
That's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I some of these guys, like, I don't see why they would have stuck around. Obviously they're getting a payday, but I don't think that they would have stuck around if there was if they were just going to be, not really having a role, I guess is how I would say it. So yeah, awesome room.
Brad,
I'm being attacked by my cat here.
It's crazy. It's like, wow, we're really loaded, and you didn't even mention Landino and Tucker.
Yeah. Oh, he was talking about the ends, but yeah, I think those guys are the surefire starters.
Yeah,
for sure.
it is. Wait, so we're just talking about the ends? So we got.
I asked Jamie what he's specifically hearing about the ends because I saw in Dukeway and Burnham starting, but
great answer then, Jamie. Wow, I should listen better. Yeah, Burnham, Obiazer, the Freeze, and Dukeway, all studs, all potential combine invites. Like
I know
these guys are like, impressive. Like I could see like it's nice having Obiazer and Dukeway being juniors this year. Wink, wink. Yeah. And very nice for the future. And then, you have Landino. They brought in Yelly, and they even have Tyreek Tucker, who's going to be the captain of this whole thing. Insane room. What I'm most fascinated about for spring is kind of the emergences of other guys on this D-line. Like you mentioned Quentin Clark. Tyrone Burris was getting tick toward the end of the season there. Like legit playing time, and didn't even burn a red shirt doing it. Played a lot in that Purdue game.
They had a lot of. They obviously had a lot of injuries, and I thought that he's a guy I'm going to move on to my like two deep as like the third guy behind Obiazer and Burnham. But yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to mention that because I do think that he's like in that mix.
Yeah, sure. It's like there's so many options, like 3-4 deep, like Ronell Johnson, the true freshman out of Missouri. He's like
people have been talking about him for sure.
There's whispers around Bloomington about this kid already. He's a true freshman. He's had 3 practices. Burris, Clark. And then inside, got Kyler Garcia, who's been kind of the more hyped, younger interior D lineman in this group. I have him in the 2 deep as that 8th guy, filling out the D tackle spot. But then you got like a Rodney White, who is another fringe, not a blue chip guy, but a fringe 3-star, like 4-star across the board, like 3-4. Wasn't quite a blue chip, like 4-star composite, but damn close. And hearing a lot of good things about him. And then you got Big 50, got Dravis Hall. Like he's around. Like what can these guys show me to where like how deep is this room? Because the top is elite. The 3 deep, the 4 deep, it's getting scary in terms of like they might not have to go portal hunting too often.
Yeah, Tristan Abrams, a guy who I know Jamie loves, who nobody's even mentioned yet, who looks absolutely massive to start this year as well.
Yeah, he was one of my. He's got like my favorite defensive end huddle tape of anyone that's committed to IU out of high school. And Michigan tried to grab him, and there was a lot of talk that Michigan was going to get him, and they didn't get him. And again, another guy that he stuck around, not that like he wouldn't have, I guess, because he was a true freshman last year, but he's up to 236 pounds and he's 6'3". His pass rush moves in high school. And again, sometimes it's hard. You always have to the competition caveat, because you don't know, like with Andrew Parker for a tight end, like he was playing at a small school in Indiana, and it was, they're running the option. He's just destroying little kids, essentially, it seemed like. But like Abram was playing, I think he's from St. Louis. Abrams from St. Louis, like he was not playing, and it was not like a joke of a league or something like that where he was. But I mean, he was, and just the ability to get around the edge. So that's a guy you never know. I mean, he's a guy that could he step up? I wouldn't be shocked. Do I have him 4th in my stud depth chart, like the whole depth chart? Yeah, but like. Could I see him overtaking Quentin Clark? Yeah. Could I see him push for some playing time, especially early in some of these games where he's like maybe the first guy out of the, after the first 2? Yes, because he's legit. And then I did want to just mention, because Brad was talking about the defensive tackles. That's one of the reasons I mentioned Chidi Obiazer, is just that, the guys that really have experience are Tucker, obviously, Yelly, who's going to be a redshirt senior who looks like a massive dude, and then Landino. And this is where I see, like, they're super young behind Tucker at the nose tackle. So like I have right now, I think you say, is it Jervius Hall or Drevius Hall? Yeah, I think I have him because all the other guys are actual freshmen. But like, it wouldn't be shocking to me to see Kyler Garcia. From what I've heard, he also looks the part as a redshirt freshman. They have a ton of guys here. It's by far, again, I've been following this team for 20 years or more now. Jesus Christ, I'm old. But yeah, like at no point have they had depth and size and athleticism like this on the defensive line. And that includes, they just won a national title last year. So I'm just telling you that's how I feel, and we'll see how it plays out in real time, in real time, this season. But at least for the spring, it's going to be very exciting to hear because there's a lot of guys we haven't seen yet at every position, but specifically at nose tackle, where could you see Cameron McCaney, who was a really, he played at IMG Academy. Could I see him sneaking into some kind of backup role at nose tackle? Yeah. I mean, the kid was basically playing college level athletes at IMG every week. So, it's an exciting time to be a fan of IU because this is the type of defense that's going to be, they're going to be kicking ass and taking names again, basically at every level.
I love it. Brad, do you have a closing thought on the early spring takeaways before we get out of here?
What's funny is that you're like mentioning McCaney and you're mentioning Abram, and I'm like nodding, like those guys are studs. I'm looking at my depth chart, like they're in my fifth line, just because like
I know.
like it's just gross, like how many names they have. Like it's impossible to choose, especially when I'm not at the practices. I'm not going to assume. I have Abram back there because he's listed 225 last year. He got up, put on the 10 pounds. Like Burris also put up the 10 pounds, so he's up to 45 now. Like my stud line is the Freeze and Dukeway. Then we go Burris, Quentin Clark, and Abram. Gross.
Yeah. See, I think that I tend to agree there. I just don't know because I know that Burris, they had him playing. The reason he played so much last year is because he was like the fourth guy on the other side. You could be right though. He could easily be moved over to stud. He's very long and like lean looking.
Yeah.
For a redshirt freshman.
I see like Calhoun and Keyshawn Calhoun and Ronald Johnson as more of those bigger ends with like an Obiazer and a Burnham.
No, you're probably right about that.
Kind of a similar mold. Obiazer can definitely move inside just given his weight. I mean, just picture it's 3rd and 1. We're playing Ohio State. We're putting 5 D linemen on. It's going to be Landino, Tucker, Yelly, Obiazer, and then just like, I don't know, the Freeze or Duke. I don't know. Clark at that point, like I don't care. Like at that point, it's just gross. It's absolutely gross. Like the type of versatility they bring, it's my favorite group. It's not even close. Like top to bottom, like I think 18 scholarship guys they have now, where they had Turvey on their 3rd string line last year. Like they have all these 18 scholarship guys, and I feel like they're like all ready to go. Like they came in, they all weighed in very well. Like McCaney came in a little light at 274. Funny enough, Hugin kind of weighed in a little light at 225. Not going to imply anything there, but like everything they have there, it seems like all the guys they have there now are ready to go. And it's just about like competition at this point. It's going to be hard to break through that top 7. But who's going to be that 8, 9, 10 guy? And I think that's going to be a really fun competition to kind of see throughout spring and kind of see whose name is getting brought up by Sig or whoever's talking to the media. I think it'll be fun to follow.
Agreed.
Jamie, any major takeaways or big takeaways or anything we didn't cover before we get out of here on early spring ball takeaways?
Not really. I guess the last thing I would say is that, other than the offensive line, like IU's just loaded. Like, not that the offensive line isn't, but like with no Carter Smith, it's going to be a little bit tight. And I guess the tight end room as well, because there's injuries. But specifically on the defense, the running backs, the wide receivers, obviously Hoover's the starter, Wilson and Cherry. Cherry still looked like he had, not a brace, but like some kind of leg thing on, but he was still throwing and stuff like that. So that was good to see. But they have more depth than they had last year again. And then they won a title. So it's like, I don't know. It gets scary. This is where like I do my thing where last year I talked myself out of a win, and then they obviously went 16-0. I talked myself into 9-3 just because I didn't want to be disappointed. And I feel like this year I'm going to be actually going the opposite way, where I'm like, okay, I think they'll probably win 10, and maybe they win 11, because the defense is going to be absolutely freaking loaded, like absolutely loaded. I'm very excited to see how it looks, and especially in the spring game, because that's the culmination. Hopefully we get to see it. I don't know.
I'm hoping that they broadcast it. I really do.
because there's no spring portal. I think that was one of the reasons that,
and they just
Nebraska
came out with
played theirs,
penalties
right?
for the portal as well. I don't know if you saw that today.
Wait, what was it?
They now have the NCAA finally passed a law or whatever guidelines that are like, if you, because there's been rumors of the shadow portal for a couple of weeks, and so they said anybody who adds a player in the transfer portal like out of the transfer window is going to face like these types of punishments. So we'll see if they actually enforce it. But
interesting. Yeah, well, the defense is loaded. That's just, I mean, that's my main takeaway from this spring so far, is that they are just absolutely loaded, especially on defense.
They're going to somehow lower their points per game total on the defensive side.
I know.
It's filthy.
Yeah.
And then offense, they don't have depth. I'd say the top end talent is like an upgrade top to bottom. So it's like I'm seeing 11 wins despite the tough schedule.
I know, that's kind of where I'm at.
It's almost like nightmares, 10 wins. And it's like if this team doesn't make the playoff, something went very, very wrong.
Right. I think there's like an injury to Hoover gets injured or something catastrophic on the offensive line. Maybe that's where I'm. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, can't think like that though. Jamie, what do you have going on? What do you got coming up for the IU reactionary for Hoosier Huddle?
I did all my spring previews. I'm kind of in a holding pattern. I want to see. I got to get more information before I start writing again. But I'm going to probably be doing. My guess would be like. I got to do it before the spring starts before the fall camp starts. So sometime before the summer, I want to I want to get it like in before, and as my my sleepers and like my bold predictions for the season, just because I think there's gonna be more stuff to write about. At least in the summer, we'll have probably more information as they'll be talking with the media even more than they are now. So do want to do that, but otherwise just check out Hoosier Huddle. Sammy and the guys have a ton of stuff going on over there. Independent IU site. So they do great work.
If you know us, you have to know Hoosier Huddle, but Jamie, very much appreciate you hopping on with us, talking ball, talking Hoosiers and pro day and spring ball and all that good stuff. Brad, what do you have coming up for the good people?
I got work tomorrow, bro.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Tweet here and there. I got I don't know. I'm working on some blue blood rankings, kind of figuring out how do we. So I did my new blood rankings, right? We released that, and that was fun. But like, how do we determine the top, like historically? Like, we're gonna remember our talk with Mark Rogers. Like, we're gonna equate history where like we're gonna make 1936 equal 2026, like, which doesn't make sense to me. But if we're gonna do that, how do we measure it? And I think I figured it out. It's really just like who has the most top two, not just one, top two finishes from that time frame. And good for Notre Dame. They got to win. They seem to be top of the board and then filling it out. They needed it, And then it's Bama, Ohio State, USC, Oklahoma. So those are my 5 blue bloods. And because there's a big gap of 2 between the next, like your Nebraskas, your Michigans, and like those 5 seem to be, and it makes sense when you spell it out. Like those seem to be historically year in, decade out, the most consistent college football programs in terms of being relevant in the landscape. So shout out to those 5. I'm working on it, trying to get accurate numbers, but those are the 5 for sure. Those are the top 5. Trying to nail down the rest of the rankings, but kind of just a fun exercise. So like, I don't know if they can talk a little smack to us. I guess maybe 4 of them can because they have more equal, if not more, national titles. But one of those teams doesn't have a national championship game win. So I don't know if they can talk as much. You had your whole argument with them on the show.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's what I've been working on, I guess, in my free time when I'm not doing other life shit,
I was on the Notre Dame at the Voice of College Football show last night with those guys talking who owns the state of Indiana. That dropped on our channel and also dropped on their channel. You can go check that out. I grew up in New Jersey as a diehard Red Sox fan, and so like anytime you can have those types of conversations, I felt like I was back in elementary school talking to the Yankee fans again, like swatting away fly swaps. So I had a lot of fun. If you haven't seen that conversation, definitely go check that out. And yeah, I'm Twitter tweeting all the time, and we'll have videos and stuff coming out on the channel. And yeah, there's always something going on at the Voice of College Football, and I literally have 2 to 3 pages worth of notes for the smoke that we didn't even get to because there's just too much to talk about in terms of like actual discussion of the players. And so you'll probably see me pop back up this week in some capacity to talk about the other things going on in the world.
Oh, just save it for next week. I want to talk about it. What the hell?
Then it's legitimately going to be a 4-hour show next week.
Do it. I'm in. I block out Tuesdays. All right.
All right. All
Wednesday.
And then I'm doing something fun this weekend that I'll probably be able to talk about later in the week. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, appreciate everybody for hanging out. Jamie, again, thank you for hopping on with us, for sharing information, for having the conversations. Shout out to the chat. Chat was active tonight, which was awesome. Super cool to go back and forth with the good people. And yeah, check us out. Check out Indiana at the Voice of College Football on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're watching on the X account, Sigs Inside, or if you're watching on the Voice of College Football Facebook account, hopping over to the YouTube page, show us some love over there. We're chasing 1,000 subscribers before the season starts. We got a little bit of time before the season starts. We were chasing 500 before the season started last year. We were able to get there pretty much at the buzzer. So I'm hoping that, we'll see what the good people can do. But yeah, if you're on Twitter, check me out at Alec Keyser. Check out the show at Indiana VOCFB. Check out what the Voice of College Football is doing over on the main channels at the VOCFB or Voice of College Football on YouTube. And then we're available wherever you get your audio podcast. So Spotify, Apple, any of that good stuff. And yeah, we're always doing something. There's always something going on. It's there's never an off season over at the Voice of College Football. And so I appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys next week. Go Hoosiers.
Can't believe you asked me what I was doing, dude. That was so fucked up.
I know you've been working on stuff. I see I teased you up to talk about your blue blood rankings, and then you got it out to the people. So it's like, yeah,
it's not that sick. Like, I don't know.
I did see that Monchin Sales is visiting tomorrow.
Yes, he is.
That's good.
Sheesh. All right,
Go Hoosiers.